This is case number 57 on the calendar in the matter of Myrex versus Goodwin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
What's your first name?
Daryl.
It's your mother?
Yeah.
Miss Myrex, you weren't there the date of this incident, but you're involved because the car that was allegedly damaged by Winter
Yes.
was owned by you.
Yes.
So why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
If we need anything, I'll call you.
Okay.
And Miss Goodwin,
Yes.
this is your daughter Winter.
Yes.
And you weren't there the date of this incident, where your daughter says that this whole incident was provoked by Daryl and his brother. And
Yes.
you're counterclaiming because she was injured, had to go to the hospital with glass in her hand.
Yes.
So why don't you sit down? How old are you, Daryl?
17.
17.
And you have a long history of not liking each other. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why don't you like each other?
Your Honor, she really doesn't like me. I have no problem with Winter.
What don't you like about him?
No, he don't like me. He never liked me since September.
What made you think he didn't like you, Winter?
Because Ivic Nuttall is my friend.
Ivic
Yes.
is your friend.
And he came to me in school saying what he was going to do to him. And I told them to keep me up out of it. And so that's how I got involved, because of his brother.
Oy. All right. Now, I want you to tell me, Daryl, what happened on April 9th?
Okay, Your Honor. Friday, me and my friend Katrina, who lives out there, we had made plans to go to the bowling alley on Saturday, and we were on our way to pick him up. As I was entering the entrance to my friend Katrina's house, Winter, along with Ivic and others, were blocking the entrance.
Had you spoken to any of these people that day?
No. And I rolled down my window politely and I said, Winter, could you please move off the street?
Politely?
Yes, politely, because that's what type of person I am. I'm a polite person. And she started cursing me out like, MF, you have no business being out here. You don't live out here, so you can move out your car and move out my way. Well, by this time, her, Ivic, and the rest with his sister surrounded my car.
Is that you? You're the sister?
I'm Winter's sister.
Your Winter sister.
And they all surrounded my car, and so therefore I couldn't move nowhere. Winter came up to my car, and she took her fist and busted out my back window, but they still wouldn't let me move out the way. So then she had run away, and she came back with a bat and busted out my driver window. Once she busted out the driver's side window, she put her arm in the car, unlocked the door, and pulled me out along with her friends, and they started beating me up.
Do you have a police report?
Yes.
I'd
my
like
mom
to
has
see it.
Pictures.
Okay. Now I'll hear you, Miss Goodwin.
All right. On April 9th, Daryl and his friend Brente called us and told us to meet them up at the bowling alley. So about 6 to 8 o'clock, they kept playing on the phone.
Who were they calling?
They was calling me and my friend Ivic, my witness Ivic.
Okay.
We went to my house at 8 o'clock to ask my mom could we go to a party on Hobart Street. She said yeah if we took my little sister Raven. So then we walked back to Ivic's house. They was parked in the front. They came out. Then Daryl rushed Ivic. So then after that, his brother Roy hit me on the side of my face. Then that's when I turned around and hit him. And then after that, we got to fighting. He pushed me into the window. I was forced into that window.
Just a second.
So then that's how my hand got injured.
That's not what the witness says.
Okay.
The police report from a witness who was at the scene, that was one of your friends that the police officer spoke to, says the female, that's you, took the bat from the male, threw it under a car. The female then tried to punch the male, but hit the driver-passenger window and shattered the window.
That's not what happened, Your Honor. We never talked to the police until he got to the hospital.
Not you. I'm not talking about you.
Me or my witness.
Well, there were a lot of
We
people
never
out
talked
there.
to the police, Your Honor.
So the police is lying.
Yes, he is.
You're the brother?
No.
Friend?
Yes, ma'am.
Name?
Jerry Ashley.
Were you in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing there, Jerry?
We was going out there to get a friend to go to the bowling alley.
But you had already gotten him, because he was in the car, according to this police report. There were 3 of you in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Where does he live? Give me the address.
I don't know the address, but he lived in the front of Mary Hill Apartments.
And where did he meet you?
He met us right there. When you come inside Mary Hill, or the entrance, he met us right there.
So then you were leaving, because he was in the car already.
No, ma'am.
Why weren't you leaving?
Because they had blocked the car.
Who blocked the car, Jerry?
Winter, Ivic, and some of her friends, his brothers, his sisters, they all blocked the car. Even the little girl blocked the car.
She's not so little.
Well, you know.
I'll get to you in a minute. How old are you?
18, Your Honor.
Okay, Ivic. Up.
Yep.
How old are you, Ivic?
15.
What's the problem that you have with these guys?
Nah. Every time we was in school, he said, like, find me, it's like I'm Michael Jackson, so he'll whoop me, stuff like that.
What?
He said, find me like he find Michael Jackson. Like, I'm gonna be Michael Jackson, so he can whoop me and stuff like that.
Do you understand this? Are you following this?
Not at all.
No, I thought maybe I was missing something. So now I want you to tell me, Ivic, what happened on April 9th?
From 6 o'clock to 8, Brent.
No, I want you, don't look at the heavens. God is not going to help you with this, Ivic. Only the truth will set you free. So you look at my eyes.
6 through 8 o'clock, Brent, Daryl, they was calling my phone telling me to come to the bowling alley. But I was like, nah. So then after a while, they start driving past the Maryville apartments telling Winter and that he wanted to fight me and stuff like that. And they was 3 cars deep. But first, me, Winter, and Raven went to her mama's house to ask her, could we go to a party? And she said, yeah, so when I was...
So first, this car is driving by, and Winter, who is afraid, right, goes in to ask her mother if she can go to a party.
Yeah.
That's what you're telling me, so that they're driving by with their friends. And that's very intimidating, right? They're looking to fight you.
Yeah.
Step up. You're her mother?
Yes.
Do you remember your daughter coming inside and asking if she can go to a party?
Yes.
What did she say to you?
She asked me could her and Raven go to a party, and I gave her permission. The only way that she can go to that party was to take Raven.
She didn't say to you there are guys outside that are looking for trouble, looking to beat up Ivic?
No, she did not.
Shh. Put your hand down. She didn't say that to you. She didn't say, Mom, I'm afraid because there are people out there are cars out there going back and forth. She didn't say that to you.
No.
Now, she was safe inside her house, correct?
Yeah.
If you would have known that there were cars outside waiting to beat up Ivic and maybe her, you wouldn't have let her go out again, would you?
No, I wouldn't have.
Good. Have a seat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His brother Roy hit me on the side of my face. I hit him back. He pushed me into his mom's window, and then that's how the window got broke.
Are you finished now?
Yeah.
Good.
And later today,
So you decided you didn't want to see her anymore because she borrowed $50 from somebody else. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mr. Alford? Could we get to it, please?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daryl Myricks claims his former classmate, Winter Goodwin, punched out his car window. Winter claims Daryl's brother pushed her into the car. She is countersuing for medical bills.
Winter,
Yes, Your Honor.
this is what you swore to. On April 9th at around 6 o'clock, Daryl's friend, not Daryl, Daryl's friend called me and told Ivic and me to come to the neighborhood bowling alley because Daryl wanted to fight Ivic. That's what you wrote. I told his friend that Daryl knew where we were if he wanted to fight. For the next 2 hours, Daryl and a car of 5 of his friends circled the streets of my neighborhood. They were screaming obscenities and trying to instigate a fight. Ivic and I ignored them. Around 8 o'clock, I went across the street to talk to my mom. When I crossed the street back to Ivic's house, Daryl was parked on the street with 2 carloads of his friends. They were just sitting there stalking Ivic's house. I went inside and got Ivic with the intention of ignoring Daryl and his friends and going to a party. That's what you wrote.
I know what I wrote.
But that's not what you're telling me.
That is what I'm telling you. You didn't even let me finish my story.
I'll let you finish your story. I'm at your mother's house where you went inside to ask her if you could go to a party, despite the fact that a couple of hours before, a guy had said he's coming over to the house. He was going to fight you because you invited him over. He said, you want to fight? You know where we are. Come on over. And you say for the next 2 hours, the cars went back and forth stalking Ivic's house. Then you went inside and asked your mother if you could go to a party. Nowhere did you tell your mother that there was a problem. And I find that hard to understand, Winter.
Well, I ain't tell her what happened because they weren't even supposed to be out there. We was about to get in the car and leave. So then I tried to go in his house to get his mom. His brother Roy hit me on the side of my face. I hit him back. We got to fighting. He pushed me into his mom's window, and then that's when I lost my balance. And then that's how the window got broke.
Are you finished now?
Yeah.
Good. Did you see how the back window got broken?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did the back window get broken?
By Winter hand.
And how did the side window get broken?
By the bat that Winter had, Your Honor.
Where did the bat come from?
After they did all that, she fled away from the accident and then came back with the bat.
Did you ever have the bat in your car?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have the bat in your car?
No, Your Honor.
I believe you. Sit down. Can I have the estimate, please, for the damage to the car? Put your hand down, Ivic. Did you have it fixed?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you step up, please? Would you tell me how much it cost you to fix both windows?
It came out to about $170.
You have bills here for $870.
That's the estimate.
But it actually cost you less.
Yes.
You can sit down. Stay there with your son. Step up with your daughter, please. This young man did not hurt your hand. You hurt your own hand.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did.
His brother pushed me.
You have no lawsuit against his brother here today. You're suing him for your medical bills. And that's not what your friends say happened to your hand. What your friends say happened to your hand is you went to punch somebody, they probably moved out of the way, and you punched the car window instead. That's what your friends say happened. So your counterclaim's dismissed. You owe him $170 to fix the window. I believe him. That's all.
I was just saying, that's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This child is not even in school. She's expelled from school. She doesn't go to school at all, period. And she's a troublemaker.
I was expelled from school, and that's because somebody spit on me.
I'm just happy that this situation is over so I can move on.
If it was just an accident, then someone pushing her through the car window, I don't feel that I was responsible for the car window. When a child is not being taught at home, it reflects on the parent.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Alford versus Griffin. Step forward.
19-year-old Chris Alford is suing his ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old Ashley Griffin, for a loan to pay her rent. Ashley says Chris gave her the money.
Mr. Alford, the defendant used to be your girlfriend. According to your complaint, you are no longer involved in a relationship, but at some point prior to your breaking up, you loaned her $300. You want that money back.
Yes, this was after we broke up. Like, we broke up, then she called me.
So you lent her the money after you were no longer together?
Yes.
When did you lend her the money, sir?
I sent it the 1st of July.
Tell me about that.
All right, we broke up, whatever, when she came up.
She came up where?
To Philly. We was no longer seeing each other.
You live in Philadelphia?
Yes.
You live where?
Florida.
And when did she come to Philadelphia?
Like the beginning of June.
Who did she stay with?
Her mom, I guess.
Your mom lives in Philadelphia?
Outside of Philadelphia.
Stop moving up and down. When she came up to Philadelphia to visit her mother, and you, I assume.
I saw her a couple hours.
That's not
true,
Your
Were you
Honor.
still dating?
Then, yeah.
What caused you to stop seeing each other in a romantic way?
Chris Alford says ex-girlfriend Ashley Griffin owes for a loan to pay her rent. Chris also says Ashley is a two-timer.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, she missed her flight, right? In the morning time, she missed her flight.
She missed her flight going back to Florida?
Yes.
When was that?
I don't know the exact date.
It was sometime in July.
He said you went up in June.
No, it was like the middle of July sometime.
Did you miss your flight going home?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were in Philadelphia?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What happened when she missed her flight, sir?
She missed her flight, and she called some guy and was like, I missed my flight. It cost $50 or something to pay the balance or something. And I was like, who's that on the phone? And I turned around, whatever, because I was half asleep when all this happened. She hit me, whatever, like, oh, I missed my flight.
So what you're saying is she was sleeping over at your house?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, then you were with her more than just a couple of hours during this visit to Philadelphia.
Okay.
All right, so you decided you didn't want to see her anymore because she was talking to somebody else and borrowed $50 from somebody else. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mr. Alford? Could we get to it, please?
All right.
Is that what happened?
Other stuff, too, but that's what started it all.
And then this other young man sent you money or called up and said, add the ticket on his credit card, and you went home.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why you needed this $300, Miss Griffin.
Can I start from the beginning?
No.
Well, because I was going back home in July. So I had already bought my ticket, and I was short for my rent. So I asked him for the money. I didn't say, can I borrow it? I asked him, can I have it? And he said, yeah. And he gave me the money.
So you needed the $300 for rent because you had spent the money.
But I was also going to see him. And we spent more than just that night together. He picked me up from the airport, and I was with him that day, and we went to go pick up his witness.
Tell me about when you called him and asked him for the money.
Well, I called him, and I pretty much said I needed the money for the rent because I was short.
Where were you when he gave you the money?
I was at my house.
In Florida?
Yes, ma'am. He Western Unioned me the money.
You have the receipt for Western Union?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Alford, I'd like you to tell me about the conversation that you had with her about the $300, please.
All right, I'm in the car, me and 3 friends of mine, and my phone rings. And I put it on speaker because I couldn't drive and talk. So I'm talking to her, and she's like, oh my God, I don't have enough money to pay for my rent, this, and that. And I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do about that? Then she said, would it be possible if you could send me $300 and I will pay you back next Friday on my paycheck? Everybody in the car heard her say that.
Don't tell me what they heard. Did you hear it?
I heard it clearly. It's right here. The phone's right here. I was listening, talking like, all right, well, I can't spare it. You know what I mean? So you got to send it back next Friday. And you can see on Western Union, date was July 1st. If she just now said she was in Philly.
You're absolutely right, sir. It was July 1st.
I said he sent me the money July 1st. I said I went home after July 1st.
Are you telling me you went home and then continued your relationship with him after he sent you the money?
Yes, we were still together, so I don't know why he's saying we weren't. We were together at that time. Why would I stay at his house? Why would he pick me up from the airport if we weren't together?
He says it was in June.
It was in June. That's why you was at my house. It was in June, man.
Oh, you must have your airline ticket.
I don't have it.
Who was this other person that you called for $50?
All right, when he came down, he knew about the guy already.
Don't tell me what he knew. I didn't ask you for a whole story. I said, who was this other person?
It was some other guy that I was messing with.
So now what you want me to believe is he sent you $300 to help you cover your rent. Then you went up to Philadelphia to see him. But at the time that he sent you the $300 for the rent, you were messing around with somebody else that he didn't know about. Is that right?
No, he knew about him. We were only like...
friends.
No, we weren't friends. We were more than friends. But at that time, I knew I could depend on him.
You have to learn that you have to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to stop relying on people, and you have to stop using people. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you.
All these are excused. You may all rise. Now, this is case number 402 on the calendar in the matter of Bergdahl versus Sanchez.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Sanchez, did you have trouble finding the courthouse today, sir?
Not at all. Found it just fine.
Did you get here on time?
Yes, I did.
Did you?
15 till.
Huh?
No.
Well, what happened, Miss Bergdahl? Why couldn't you find the courthouse?
Because I've been under the weather a little bit, and it took me a while to get here today.
Are you sick?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the matter with you?
Well, I've been working for Red Cross in Louisiana, and since I've been back, I've had a cold, and I haven't recovered from it yet. And I haven't had a home to go to. So I've been moving from place to place with my luggage, and it's took a toll on my health.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Let me go into what the lawsuit is. I'm going to give you plenty of opportunity to speak, Mr. Sanchez. Ms. Bergdahl, this is what your lawsuit is about. You claim that Mr. Sanchez moved into your apartment with you. You lived together as roommates for about 6 months. He was supposed to pay half the rent. He didn't, but that's not what you're suing him for. You're suing him because you moved out in September. You told him to move out in September. He didn't move out in September. Your name is the only one on the lease. He didn't pay September's rent. He was still there in October. He didn't pay October's rent, as a result of which you lost your deposit on the apartment, which you claim is $1,000. You want Mr. Sanchez to pay the $1,000 that you lost in the deposit that the landlord kept, plus the $1,400 for rent for the month of September when you moved out.
Yes.
And now Mr. Sanchez wants to say something. So within the context of this case, sir, what do you want to tell me?
I was just going to say I've been under the weather, too, as you can hear in my voice. And
I felt better
made
in
it
my
on
day,
time,
too.
so
Bird,
that's all
I
I'm
know,
gonna
used
say.
to be better 10 years ago. You wake up, you have aches, you have pains, but when you have to get someplace, you get there, and you get there on time.
Correct.
Anything else you want to tell me right now? No, good. All right, Miss Bergdahl, when did he move into your apartment?
He moved into my apartment at the end of January of 2005.
And how did you know each other?
We had mutual acquaintances before, and we slowly became friends.
And you moved out September what?
September the 9th.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes, I did.
When did you move out?
Actually,
is not an answer.
I am still residing there, and I'm in the process of working with the management company right now on that place.
How much rent did you pay in September?
$400.
Is that right?
He paid September. He paid half of. He did not pay $400. He paid $362 for half the rent in September.
What was the whole rent? What's the whole rent?
$725, ma'am.
You're still there?
That is correct.
And you're working with the management company to take over her lease?
That is correct.
Then you have to give her $1,000. If she can prove to me that she gave them $1,000, show it to me.
Of that 1,000, I did participate with 300 of that 1,000.
Steven Sanchez owes everybody money. I'm the last person.
Just a second. Shh. Mr. Sanchez, just show me that you gave her $300.
And that's the problem. My work schedule does not allow me to gather up information, and that's the problem that I have. So
well, you want to know what the problem you have?
It's bad. It's a bad problem. I'm
glad
sorry.
you said that, sir. What kind of work do you do? Almost not an answer.
I'm a manager at a car dealership, and it requires me to be there from open to close.
You're a manager at a car dealership.
Correct.
What kind of car dealership?
Fords.
Bird comes in with his lovely wife, Felicia, and wants to buy a Ford. And they come to you. You sit down, you work out a contract.
Correct.
And do you sell anybody a car? Do you order a car unless they do all the paperwork and sign all the paperwork? I know I've bought cars. There's usually a ton of paperwork,
correct.
Right? So you know that when you're buying a car, you have to be prepared to do a lot of paperwork. When you come to court, you don't come with a smile, Mr. Sanchez. You come with evidence, sir. So I don't know what that piece of paper is that you have with you, but if you claim that you gave her $300, then you bring proof of that.
Correct.
All right. So you have to give her $1,000. That's numero uno, despite the fact that she's late, without a legitimate excuse. Now let's deal with the rent. Did you pay October's rent? She wasn't there. You were there. Did you pay October's rent?
The situation with that was when she went to her retreat.
Just a second.
I'm leading up to the situation
I
at
don't
hand.
listen. Life is short. I'm
Correct.
getting older by the minute. I'll let you expand on the answer if I need it. Did you pay October's rent?
No, I did not, because I wasn't allowed to.
Just a second. Did you live there?
Can I say something, please?
Did you live there?
Yes, I did.
Fine. Now, who do you think is responsible for October's rent?
She's on the lease.
Right, and she wasn't living there.
Correct.
You were living there.
Correct.
Just a second. You know, you made me nervous. Something is going in my eye. Bird, look over here. Do you see? Oh, I got it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Does this look all right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing good.
Thank you. All right. Listen to me very carefully, sir. The landlord is not related to you in any way. The landlord, I assume, is not related to Miss Bergdahl in any way. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we have to craft this order so that the landlord gets paid their money. What you're going to tell me, Mr. Sanchez, is that you were not permitted to pay the landlord rent because you were not on the lease. Correct. Is that what you were going to tell me? You see what a quick learn I am, Mr. Sanchez? That doesn't mean that nobody pays the rent. Now, you don't expect Miss Bergdahl to pay the rent, do you? She wasn't there. She wasn't there in October. Did you pay November's rent?
No.
This isn't hurricane relief, sir. You're living in a place you're supposed to pay rent. So you make out the check to her and you say, pay the rent. Or you make out the check to the landlord, give it to her. She'll get it to the landlord because she's on the hook for rent. The landlord's not going to let you off the hook. Not going to let her off the hook. Somebody's going to pay October and November's rent.
Okay. I offered to pay time and time again. What the management company said is we need to talk to our lawyers and then we'll get back to you. I went and talked to, I guess her name was Kathy, and she said that you need to vacate the premises. At that time, I was in the middle of a move going to LA to work for another Ford company, and I decided to stay in town because I got another job offer where I reside because it's closer to family. So instead of opening up another lease for a couple of months, I offered to pay 2 months of rent to stay there. What they had told me was, I didn't even know you were there.
So you were a very good tenant. You were very quiet.
I was very quiet. You
have to pay rent.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a big boy. How old are you?
Old enough to know.
Is it a secret?
33.
If I were 33, I would shout it from the rooftops.
You look 33, by the way.
That's very nice of you. It's not going to help you one bit.
And later today.
We got into an argument, and he went to open the door, but he hit so hard that he broke the door handle. He jumped out of the car and proceeded to break the rearview mirror.
How did he get out of the car?
He went out the window.
She was in reverse moving the car when I was trying to get out of the window.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Bergdahl says ex-roommate Steven Sanchez owes for 2 months' rent and a security deposit.
People pay rent, a mortgage, rent, housing allotment. That's what you do. You don't expect her to pay for you, do you?
No, not at all.
Perfect.
I've offered
All right.
to pay her also, and she denied it.
All right.
Can I say something?
No, do me a favor. I don't listen to tardy people. 700.
He has been asked multiple times by me and the management company to pay something because the person that actually owns those buildings hasn't received any money in 2 months, and he has refused to pay. We've even been over to the house. The landlord even went over to the house requesting money from him, and he didn't hand her
They did not
anything.
come over to look at the house. They came over to assess the situation of what happened and why she left.
No, why didn't you pay him then?
Shh. I'm getting to that. The whole
Listen to
situation
me.
of what
Listen
happened.
to me. If it was all very nice, you wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be able to have such a pleasant afternoon.
The living situation was great. Okay, there was no problem. There was just one little issue of a coworker that she lived with that we became.
Listen, I don't care. I have other things to do. I don't care why she left. She left, and if you would have packed your bag and gone at the same time, then she would be stuck with her lease because it's her lease. You chose to live there, sir, for your own convenience. And you're a big boy. How old are you?
Old enough to know.
Is it a secret?
Yes.
It's a secret? How old you are?
33.
If I were 33, I would shout it from the rooftops.
You look 33, by the way.
That's very nice of you.
You're
It's not going to help you one bit. You owe her $1,000 for the security deposit because you're staying in the apartment. You owe the landlord $1,450. 2 checks. One to her, one to the landlord, $1,450. Mill Creek Management, Inc. is who the check gets made payable to. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had got upset at my girlfriend at the time drinking a soda.
I was prepared today to go into court showing proof of his girlfriend slitting her wrists in my house.
Next morning, she decided to get drunk at about 8 o'clock in the morning and start a fight with her.
I had to take her to the emergency room, and he let me deal with all of it because he wasn't man enough to go.
This right here is just her 10 minutes of fame because she loves more than anything. Everybody know her drama.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hayes versus Dorland. Step forward.
Shannon Hayes is suing her ex-boyfriend, Michael Dorland, for breaking the door handle of her car, breaking her cell phone, and an assault.
Ms. Hayes, according to the complaint that I've read, Mr. Dorland was your boyfriend for a period of time, and it is your claim that during the course of an argument, you were in your car, he damaged your car. Subsequently, I believe, he destroyed a cell phone that you had purchased, and he stepped on your hand, causing your hand to be injured. You want him to compensate you for those things. Mr. Dorland says none of that is true. You almost killed him in your car. He was trying to get out of your car. That you destroyed your own phone, and you also hurt your own hand. What happened first?
What happened first was my car.
Why don't you tell me about it?
On September 10th, Mr. Dorland and I were driving, and we were staying at a bed and breakfast. We had been in an argument. We got in my car. We're driving away.
Driving where?
Towards Manitou Springs. I stopped at a convenience store, and he was getting ready to get out, and he went to open the door, and he yanked the door open. But he yanked so hard that he broke the door handle.
Go ahead. What happened next?
And when he got upset because he broke it, he looked at me, he said, "I'm sorry I did that. I did not mean to yank it that hard." I said, "Get out of my car." He started to roll down the window, and when he rolled down the window, he jumped out of the car and proceeded to break the rearview mirror on the right-hand side.
Okay, what happened next?
Then I was pretty upset, so I just looked at him and I put it in reverse, and I went back into Manitou Springs.
Where was he when you put it in
Standing
reverse?
at 7-Eleven.
How did he get out of the car?
He went out the window.
Okay, so you want him to pay for the broken handle and the broken mirror.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dorland, let's do one thing at a time so we can keep this organized.
Sure.
Let's go.
I was trying to get out of the car because she was going to take me down to her friend's house, and I didn't know if they were going to jump me, beat me, or whatever.
Why would they do that?
She hangs around with some pretty low people. At that time, she was still hanging around with drug dealers and people that were borrowing her car and doing more damage to her car than what anybody else was doing.
You mean anybody
she'd
else?
lose her car for... Sorry.
You mean anybody else? You mean you?
No.
All right, why don't you tell me your version of what happened on September 10th?
We went down, we got to bed and breakfast, and then we were going down to Manitou, like she said. She started a fight, so I started walking back. Then I got in the car, we went to 7-Eleven, and lo and behold, we get ready to pull out of 7-Eleven. She goes, "Well, we're not going back to the bed and breakfast. I'm going back to see my friends. You're going with me." "No, I'm not." So I quickly grabbed the door, and I pulled it open to get it up, to open it, and it snapped. It's just a little piece of plastic. So I crawled out the window. She was in reverse moving the car when I was trying to get out the window.
Miss Hayes, once he broke the door handle and he wanted out of the car, why didn't you get out of the car and go over and open the door from the outside?
Because I was scared. He scared me.
Well, instead of being inside the car with him, you get out of the car if he was scaring you, and you're at a 7-Eleven, so you go over to his door. Either you go over to his door and you open the door, or you go to somebody else and say, will you open the door, please, because I want him out of my car, instead of staying in the car with him.
I wasn't thinking that at the time. I was just
well,
thinking,
I
get out of my
wasn't thinking
car.
either. I tend to believe, Mr. Dorland, that you started to move the car while he was trying to get out through the window.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
He wanted a cell phone, and he could not get one in his name.
You mean after this happened in September?
Yes.
After this happened in September, you made up at some point?
Yes.
How long did it take you to make up?
A couple of weeks.
Go ahead.
We had gotten back together. I took him to T-Mobile. The guy at the stand said, well, why don't you try it? And I said, no, my credit's terrible, can't do that. Turns out I could get him a phone in my name for $35. So we got it in my name, but he promised to pay me.
$35?
He paid the $35. He paid the $35. He promised to pay the monthly bill. Yes, he promised to pay the monthly bill.
Yes?
Eventually, we got into another argument at his house. I was getting everything packed up outside, and he wouldn't let me in. So I asked him to open the door, and as he opened the door, I got it open enough to stick my foot in. I said, I want my phone, please. He said, no, I'm not giving you your phone. I said, I need my phone.
Well, he had paid for the phone, so it's not your phone, it was his phone.
He hadn't paid the monthly bill, he paid $35.
But there wasn't a monthly bill yet.
I hadn't got the bill yet, no.
Go ahead.
He took the phone and he broke it in half. He threw one half at me and he took the other half. And I had my cell phone in my hand. My cell phone dropped between the door and my foot. I went to pick up my cell phone, he stepped on my foot, or my hand. Excuse me. I got my cell phone, stepped into my car, and he told me he was sorry, and I said, no, just leave me alone. And thereafter, I proceeded to call the police.
So $35 you don't get because that's part of your lawsuit for the cell phone, because he paid for the cell phone.
Okay.
Now, so let's talk about the hand, sir.
Your Honor, can I kind of tell you my version of that? Because it's real quick.
Yeah, I would love to hear it, and I would love to hear it quickly.
Okay, she drove up to my house, and when I opened the door, I always put my foot right in front so that when she tries to kick her way in the house, she can't get in there. I was trying to keep her at bay. I shut the door and went out the back door and then went up to another store and was calling everybody I knew to come and witness this psychotic person throwing stuff at the windows. She was kicking on the door. There were footprints on the door. She kicked in the side of the doggy door. She broke into my house that evening. Here's a police report that specifies that.
Did you make up again?
No. I know I was pretty stupid to make up with her before.
Just a second. You made up with her more than once.
Yes, I did. I was trying to help her out. A mutual friend said that she was okay.
Get to the hand, would you please?
Last I talked to her, everything was done and she was going to leave me alone.
Hand. Get to the injured hand.
There was no injured hand.
She called the police. What happened when the police came?
By the time they had gotten there, it really wasn't that bad.
How bad was it?
Well, it was bad enough to hurt me. I couldn't
Did you go to
bend
the
it.
doctor?
No.
Did you go to a hospital?
No.
Did you have EMS?
No.
Where do you work?
I'm a housewife.
Whose housewife?
My own.
Well, where's your husband?
I'm divorced.
Then you're not a housewife.
I'm a homemaker.
That's different. A homemaker for whom?
My mom. I'm unemployed.
Here you go.
Hunter?
You were arrested?
Yeah, on another...
Outstanding warrants?
Wasn't for any domestic violence.
For what?
Unpaid ticket.
What kind of ticket?
On a DUI I had back in, 2000.
That's not an antique, by the way, 2000.
No, but honestly, I should have had that paid, and I didn't, and I paid the price.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Dorland?
I'm a pipe fitter.
You work full-time?
Not anymore. I'm starting to. I was trying to start a business. Anytime I got anywhere close, she'd throw the kibosh in it. People didn't want me to work with them because she was calling them and going to the job sites.
Mr. Dorland, who picked her?
I did. I was trying to...
Not once, Mr. Dorland. Twice that I know of, and we only know each other about 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's not
How
so
long
good.
was this relationship that you had?
In all total, maybe about 3 months. I met her at a bar. A friend of mine said she was all right, and obviously I can't trust his word now.
Mr. Dorland is not Prince Charming. He's not your Prince Charming. Why don't you work?
For 5 years, I haven't been able to work because I've taken care of my children.
How old are your children?
They are 10, 8, and 5.
But they don't live with you.
Not now, they don't. Now I am looking for work.
Who do your children live with?
Their fathers.
Miss Hayes, I wish you good luck looking for a job. You and Mr. Dorland are no longer an item? Good. That makes me feel terrific.
Me too, me too.
It's the best news I've heard all day. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye, good luck. Have a very, very happy life.
Audience are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 364 on the calendar in the matter of Evola versus Zampino. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks.
Miss Evola, the defendant is your half-sister, and according to what I read, you only recently, in the last few years, had a relationship with each other.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you rented a home that you own to your sister with the understanding that she would have an option to buy it after she paid rent for a while.
Yes.
Subsequently, within a relatively short period of time after she moved in, you evicted her. But your lawsuit wants your furniture back. And you say when you left some furniture in the basement that was yours. You allowed her to use some furniture. But when she moved out, she took your things. The defendant says that you gave her a living room set, that the bedroom furniture that you claim you want back was actually repossessed by the company that you had rented it from, so she doesn't have that. And she is counterclaiming because she says that because of your precipitous behavior, which was not warranted by anything she did, she was forced to move. She had moving expenses. She was forced to move very quickly, and she wants to be compensated for that and all of her emotional distress. When did you lease her your house?
It was in July.
And when did you evict her?
I gave her notice September 10th.
Had she paid rent in August?
Yes.
Had she paid rent in September?
No.
Why did you evict her?
There was drug usage going on, and I only agreed to 4 people living in the house.
How did you know there was drug use going on in the house?
August 24th, my uncle came there, and they smoked it right in front of him.
Smoked what?
Pot.
Who did?
Melanie and a guy named by the name of Brandon.
Oh, my God. You agreed, you said, for 4 people to live in the house?
Yes.
Who were the 4 people?
Her, Christina New Church, which is right over there, and their...
Is this a friend?
It's my roommate. We've lived together for 9 years.
Okay.
And they have each 1 child.
How many people were living there?
Between 7 and 8.
Who else was living there?
I got 2 people that were not even residing there, a piece of mail of theirs.
Can I see?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Brandon?
My cousin. He did not live there. He stayed there occasionally during the week because Christina works 3rd shift, and he tended the kids. I did pay him.
Where did he live otherwise?
He lived with his father.
Was Joseph?
My husband. Some of my utilities were in his name. My husband and I have been separated for almost a year.
Okay, now tell me about the furniture.
We did have a verbal agreement about the living room set. If she purchased the home, it would be added in with the cost of the house. However, she didn't buy the house, so the furniture didn't come with the house. And I did try to call her.
Go ahead. Let's deal with the living room furniture first.
Okay. When we discussed the house, she said to me, you can have my washer and dryer, you can have my living room set, you can have the bedroom set if you pay the last $150 to Color Time where she was renting her bedroom set from. I said, I have an antique set, I don't want the bedroom set, but I will take the living room set because mine is used. The living room set was stained with marker. One of her children must have wrote on it. Her husband works on cars. There's massive grease marks on the one where he must have sat regularly, which I have all pictures to show. She gave me the living room set. She never said if you purchase the home or if we don't come back, because when she actually on September 10th asked me to move out, she told me it was because her grandmother threw her out of the house that she was staying in South Carolina. I do not use drugs, and I'm
Can I see a picture of this living room set that she wants back?
Of just the living room set in question?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did bring pictures of my old living room set just to show you why I would switch.
You're talking about the sofas and the end tables as well?
And the coffee table. And I did attempt to take pictures of the markings.
Well, when I left, there might have been a little bit of, like, grease stains, but there was no marker on my living room set. It was only...
When did you purchase it?
February of 2 years ago.
You have a receipt for it?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it, please? And who lived in the house with you?
My husband and my 2 children.
How old are your children?
1 and 2.
This doesn't tell me when you purchased it. Take that, please, Bird. Return that to her. I don't know what this furniture looked like when you left, but certainly a month later, it looks pretty used and pretty abused to me. And when you have 2 young children, that's what furniture like this looks like. Certainly not worth much. You'd have to pay somebody to take it out. You would. You'd have to pay somebody to take out these 2 sofas. What's next? What about the bedroom's furniture?
I purchased that, and I actually have the original bill. And when I got into my house in late September, I came to clean it up and stuff. The bed was set up, but it was sliced. The bed was set up in the basement like someone had been sleeping there.
So what are you talking about, just the mattress?
The mattress and the headboard was damaged, and I have pictures of that.
Who slept on the mattress?
When we lived there, me and my husband.
When I lived there, no one. I had my own set.
Fine. Did you slice the mattress?
I did not. I also have a letter from Color Time saying that they repossessed her bedroom furniture that she left in the basement.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the mattress.
Oh.
And they took the dressers, by the way, because I had asked them to take the dressers.
We're not talking about a whole bunch of money. I mean, we're certainly not talking about $3,500. Maybe we're talking about $100. I'm just trying to figure out why we're all here.
I'd like to make a statement on that.
Go ahead.
Judge Judy, because I feel that we're here for the same reason that Jessica, the only time she ever interacts with me is when there's trouble to be made. When she needs something, she'll call me. When she needs a babysitter, she'll call me. I actually paid money to find her because I wanted to know my sister. And the only thing that's coming out of this, no matter how you look at it, is a destroyed relationship.
That's unfortunate. When did she tell you to move?
September 10th.
And when did you move?
She gave me until September 28th when she started calling the law and having her stepfather threaten to put me out the quote-unquote old-fashioned way.
Did anything happen September 10th that precipitated this?
No.
I basically had coming back to Pennsylvania. My grandma her name's on the house also, so she had a decision to make, and she made that.
That doesn't give me an answer. That's a lot of double talk. You were coming back to live there, is that right?
Yes.
All right, so you were coming back to live there, so you told her to move?
Yes. Well, the drug usage was the reason why.
No.
There was
no. Because if the drug usage was the reason why, you would have told her to move on August 24th or August 25th. You didn't. Or the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You told her to move on September 10th because you had to come back to your house. So stop making up excuses. You get it?
Yes.
And you had a responsibility to give her 30 days notice. You didn't do that.
In that town, you only have to legally give 10 days.
Because you're not allowed to legally rent without a renter's permit, and she didn't have one.
Not nice. Okay. So you get nothing. Not even the $100 that maybe your mattress is worth if it was destroyed, and maybe your coffee tables were worth. Because what you did was the wrong thing. Because they're living there with, let's say, 4 people, including 2 children. 2 children who by September 10th have started school, have settled in, and because you can't live where you were going to live and had to come home, you told them to move and gave them what I consider no notice. Not even the right thing to do to a stranger, but to do to somebody who's related to you? Outrageous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We wanted her out. It had nothing to do with drugs or other people living there. It had to do with you coming home because you had no place else to live. You're an apology, not a lawsuit.
And later today,
you have one job when you take care of a 14-month-old baby. And it's not to leave a baby in a car with someone who is on disability for a psychiatric illness.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jessica Eveler says her half-sister, Melanie Zampino, stole furniture during tenancy in her home. Jessica claims she kicked Melanie out because she was using drugs.
Now, where did you move?
I live in Dover. I'd like not to say exactly where because I don't...
Fine. Did you pay her September's rent?
I did. I have that here.
Can I see it, please?
Then she didn't pay August. She paid 1 month.
How many months' rent did you pay?
I only paid September because when she moved, I was supposed to move in September 1st. When she moved, she had gone down to South Carolina and came back. There was some, flooding. People were messing around with her house. She said, Melanie, please just move in as soon as possible. I had to clean up as well.
Just a second. When did you move in?
Mid-July.
Well, then you should have paid 2 months' rent. You only paid 1. You saved a little bit of money so that you had enough money to put down on another apartment. I'm going to entertain.
Yes, the only problem that I had was just finding something. We moved, we
And you
lived
found
just
something?
fine. Yes.
That's good.
Can I say something, Matt? The electric and gas was shut off September 22nd. When my grandfather went the 26th, everything was moldy, the freezer, everything. So they were out for a while.
Listen to me very carefully. You did the wrong thing. You wanted to move back to your house. You wanted her out. It had nothing to do with drugs or other people living there. It had to do with you coming home because you had no place else to live. So I don't know why you're suing her, because the truth of the matter is, if you hadn't brought this lawsuit, she wouldn't have counterclaimed. She was willing to forget it.
Yes, I read
Forget
an
it.
entire
It's over.
room.
It's over. You did the wrong thing. You owe an apology, not a lawsuit. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She lied in the courtroom saying that she didn't do drugs, and I know she did.
My ultimate sadness is that I do not have her as a sister. It's not a probable, it's a definite. We have nothing.
We won't probably be talking anymore.
She filed this lawsuit on our father's birthday, the only thing that joins us. And I think that that in itself is ironic and says it all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bartlett versus Jones. Step forward.
22-year-old daycare provider Melanie Bartlett is suing former client Thomas Jones for unpaid daycare fees and late charges. Thomas says Melanie left his son in the care of a certified schizophrenic.
Miss Bartlett, you run a daycare service, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Jones had one child?
Yes.
A little boy.
Yes, ma'am.
Enrolled in your daycare. Is your claim that he took the child out of daycare without giving you notice, that he owes you for a certain period of time that the child was there when he didn't pay, and he also owes you for a whole bunch of late fees because he took the child out without notice? Mr. Jones says that he owes you some money for the daycare.
That's correct, Your Honor.
It is his claim that he had good cause to remove his son from your daycare because you are not properly caring for him.
That is not true, Your Honor.
So let's resolve what we can resolve, and then we'll get on to what's in dispute. How much money, Mr. Jones, do you owe her for the time your son, who was how old at the time?
14 and a half, 15 months, Your Honor.
How much do you owe Miss Bartlett for the time she did, in fact, care for him?
Approximately 2 weeks, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's
And
untrue. He paid me the first week, and then after that, I had no other payment from him.
Well, I'm trying to recall. First weeks were paid in full. The second week, I received partial payment. That's what you said.
$45.
Well,
Yes.
but you have to add that.
Yes.
So we paid you partially.
Yes.
For the second week. So each week was how much? Miss Bartlett?
$160. And the late fees are $10.
Just a second. $435 is what you owe her for the time your son was there and you didn't pay.
That's correct, ma'am.
Now let's get to termination fee and all of that stuff. Miss Bartlett, how many children do you take care of?
I just started my daycare, so I was in the process of getting my license, and he was my first customer.
Were you licensed at the time?
No. I made him aware of that. I have the paperwork that I was in the process of getting the license, and
That's
I made him
untrue, Your
aware
Honor.
of that when he enrolled his son.
At the time you took care of him, you were not a licensed daycare provider. Is
No.
that what you're telling me?
I was in the process of getting the license. It was just paperwork.
At the time you took care of his son, you were not a licensed daycare provider.
No.
Did you know that?
No, ma'am.
How did you locate her?
Through the internet.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
Unfortunately, I do not, Your Honor.
I do.
Let me see it, please. Oh, well, this is deceptive, Miss Bartlett. Melanie Bartlett, that's you. License number upon request.
The only choice was to put in a license number or to say upon request. And I was
No,
in
the
process.
choice is I don't have one. That's your choice. When I say it's deceptive, it says upon request. Upon request means I have one and I'll give it to you if you ask me for it. So that's deceptive.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you leave this child in a car?
Yes.
Did they give you a license?
Yes.
That's a big mistake.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daycare provider Melanie Bartlett says former client Thomas Jones owes for unpaid fees. Thomas claims Melanie left his young son in the care of a certified schizophrenic.
Now let me see the contract that he signed. In the contract, do you say that you are not licensed?
I didn't mention anything about being licensed or not licensed in the contract, no.
Well, then that's deceptive, Miss Bartlett. That's one thing. Got to ask questions.
Yes.
Better questions when you're turning over the most precious commodity that you have to somebody that you don't know. You have to say, let me see your license. Check to make sure it's a valid license with the state. You know how to do that now?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. The most egregious thing, if it's true, is he removed the child from your care during the second week in October. Is that right?
Approximately that, yes, ma'am.
And on October 7th, according to you, something happened. Want to tell me what happened?
I was informed by Melanie that she was going to a funeral. She asked if she could take my son to this funeral. She told me her mother would be going to watch my son.
That is untrue.
I don't want to hear.
I agreed to this, and I later found out that my son was left in the care of someone who was not qualified, alone in a car with him for, I don't know how long, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And this individual happens to be a state-diagnosed schizophrenic, and,
That's what you wrote.
And I'm very fortunate that nothing happened to my son, that this wasn't a point where, something went wrong.
And after that, you took him out.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
He knew the day before. My ex-boyfriend was doing work with him, and he informed him of the funeral that I would be attending. He brought it up as soon as he came to pick up his child that day, and I told him I had a friend who could watch his son, and I told him it was the friend he was referring to, who happens to be schizophrenic.
That's untrue.
Listen to me.
There was nothing wrong.
Listen to me. You have to skip a funeral. You have a job.
I know.
Listen to me. Did you leave this child in a car?
Yes.
Wrong. You don't do that.
I left him in there with my friend. The air conditioning was on, and it was
Listen to me. That's not your job. You have one job when you take care of a 14-month-old baby.
He
and
didn't
it's not
say
to go.
anything that
I'm
he didn't want
speaking
him
to
to
you.
go.
And it's not to go to a funeral. And it's not to leave a baby in a car. And it's not to leave a baby in a car with someone who was on disability for a psychiatric illness. Because according to what you said in your statement, because you anticipated what he was going to say, I was attending a funeral for my ex-boyfriend's family member. I left Jacob asleep in the car for a total of 10 minutes with a good friend. He is a schizophrenic, but he's been on his medication. Did they give you a license?
Yes.
That's a big mistake.
I would trust him with my own 9-month-old daughter.
That's your prerogative. Listen to me. That is your prerogative. You can trust him with your 9-month-old if you wish. You cannot trust him with somebody else's 9-year-old. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
So you don't get termination fees or late fees or any other fees.
He knew the day before that...
Listen, I don't care what he knew. There is no way that you're going to tell me that you told him that you were going to leave his son in a car with a diagnosed schizophrenic but who's taking his medication. I don't believe that you told him all of that.
My mother was there when I told him that.
I wouldn't believe you if you told me or your mother told me that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What I am going to give you is the money that he owes you for the time that he used your services.
It's written in the contract about the late fees. He gave me no notice. I had no
I
indication.
wouldn't give you a second notice.
I had no idea he was not going to bring his son back to me.
Listen to me. I don't care whether you knew or not. You're not getting it. Maybe your mother can explain it to you. Maybe the state where you live will listen. Because after what I said to you, if you still think that it was appropriate to leave a child in the care of a diagnosed schizophrenic who receives disability, that speaks to your judgment in caring for infants ages 0 to 2, which is what you advertise. And I wouldn't let you take care of a guppy age 0 to 2. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $435, and you're lucky you're getting it. That's all.
Parties are excused. Jermaine Steps Robinson. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Bennett, the defendant is your son,
yes, ma'am,
who you claim owes you for some utility bills that were incurred when you lived in a house together with your son, his wife, and their children. And then in a duplex house, you lived in one floor and they lived in another, and the utilities in both places were in your name.
Yes.
And you claimed that there was an agreement that he'd pay those bills.
In his apartment only.
Okay. Well, first tell me about the house that you shared together. When did you move into that house?
July of 2001.
Why did you move in together?
Well, Bob was having financial problems, and he needed Karen.
Shh. Don't answer. I'm going to get to you. Promise you.
He
was having the financial problems?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And he needed Karen to go to work, but he also needed someone to watch the kids. So me moving in, helping with the rent and utilities, and watching the children would help them.
What's your first name?
Robert.
Robert. Don't speak until it's your turn. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why you moved in?
Right.
Were they already living in this house?
No, we got it together. They had moved out of their apartment in with me. I had a 2-bedroom house. Of course, it was just too small for all of us.
Okay. Listen to me carefully, sir. I'm going to ask you a question. So far, is it correct that you and your wife and your children, at some point prior to July of 2001, moved in, even for a short time, with your mother in her house that had 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, but the arrangement was we were going to look for it. Yes.
Requires a simple yes or a no.
Yes.
And how long did you live with your mother in her house?
For like a month, just until we found a large place. That's
Good.
it.
And then...
That was the arrangement.
Does your wife listen to you? Do you make the rules in your house?
Yes.
Not here. Not here. Okay, so then you moved into a house together. And what was the financial arrangement?
I had the upstairs bedroom. I would give him $400 a month for rent, utilities, plus I would chip in anywhere from $100 to $150 for food every month.
And what was the entire rent on the house?
$1,200, I think it was.
Okay, and how long did you live there?
1 year.
Okay. Robert, listen
Yes.
to me carefully. Did you live in this house for approximately 1 year, from August of 2001 until August of 2002?
Yes.
Why were the utilities put in your name?
Because Bob owed back bills and couldn't have them on in his name.
And what was the arrangement with regard to the utility bills?
That he would pay him, you know, I'd give him $400 a month toward rent and utilities.
And he would pay the bills?
Right.
Okay. How much was left owing on those bills when you and your son and his family moved out of that house?
On the electric, the transfer amount was $684.04. And it was $315.05 on the gas.
So those amounts were transferred to the new account that was opened in the duplex.
Yes.
For some strange reason, you continued to have the accounts in your name.
Yes.
For both apartments?
Yes.
And what amounts were built up on his apartment only while you were there?
Well, I got a final bill for him in the gas for $1,290.98, and the electric $884.18, and the cable $836.64.
And those are just his bills, not yours?
No.
Okay. Good. Now it's your turn.
Okay. When we moved into the house originally, now she may have given me $400 a month or around $400 a month, but during the month, she'd be like, Bobby got $20, I want to go to bingo. You know, can you buy me cigarettes, buy me some more pop, buy me this, buy me that, keep a gas in my car. So by the end of the month, I mean, it's like I got nothing from her.
So let me understand this. In the first house that you lived together,
Yeah.
your arrangement with your mother is, as she indicated, she would give you... She may let you cut her off. I don't. The arrangement was as indicated, which was your mother gave you $400, and the first part of your defense is that during the course of the year, she would say to you, Bobby, I got $20 for gas, I need cigarettes, can you buy them for me? So it's your position that she ate into that $400 a month. So that's the first part of it. Okay? Now I'm ready to hear the rest.
Well, anyway, everything got tense in the house. Living together doesn't work. You know, I'm the man of my house, and then, you know, I don't need a mommy in the house, you know. So anyway, we found a place that we could rent both the upper and the lower apartments, so we rented them. She transferred the balances from that house to my bills in the lower apartment.
Okay. And you thought that was wrong?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, even though, you know, the cigarettes and the gum and the candy and the gas, you still didn't think it was wrong because it was money that you owed her?
No, to be honest, I would just assume leave it alone. You can't tell her what to, you know, you can't.
I don't want to tell you what, we're in a court now.
You can't prove her wrong, you know what I mean? I mean, it's either her way or no way or an argument, and I just assume leave it alone.
So you did. Just a second. So you did, and you accepted the transfer to your account in the other apartment.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay. Bills start coming. She come downstairs. Your gas is $200. I need that, you know. She would never show me any bills or anything. She would just tell me amounts.
The bills went to her?
The bills went to the house. She would get them out of the mailbox. If I would dare open a piece of mail that was in her name, I mean, she would have a coronary.
He's lying.
Oh, yeah.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Because how did he know that the bills were transferred to the lower unit?
How do I know?
Unless he saw them.
Well, I saw them, but if I dare open one, it would be nothing but a
You mean you were able to do a Carnac with the bill? You were able to go like this? This is a bill, and this is the amount, and this was the transfer amount. So you had to have seen it.
No.
Right?
No.
You just told me
I
so
saw
that
the bill. I just didn't see the amount. I knew the bill was there. This was started this stuff. I opened one and I saw the balances on there. And the
You
balances
did.
were astronomical. And I'm like, Ma, what's happened to this money? I've been giving you money every month, you know, and you're not paying the bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know? It's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Stop being a big baby, Bob.
And later today,
She herself is not even on the lease.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. Left on your own.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janet Bennett says her son Bob Robinson owes for unpaid utility bills. Bob says his mother is always asking for money.
Let me understand. First part of defense was that you gave her cigarette money that ate into her $400 a month rent.
That wasn't really part of the defense.
Shh, sir, then what'd you tell me about it for? I have other things to do today.
I'm just telling what kind of person she is.
Listen to me. She's not my mother, and I'm not looking for any friends. So that I don't have to know what kind of a person she is. I want to know what your defense is to this. So that you want me not to think about that defense. So whatever the transferred amounts were, that you accept, the amounts that were transferred to your lower unit.
Yeah, but I paid the balances.
Okay. So now you're telling me that you paid that balance of $900.
Not in full, no. She made a payment.
How much did you pay?
She made a payment agreement with the gas company. So we moved to a cheaper rent apartment. I had extra money. So I said, make a payment arrangement with the gas company, and I would pay these balances.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know? It's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Bob,
I need $200 for the gas. All right, here.
What kind
you
of
know?
business are you in, Bob?
I'm in a cab business.
You're in a taxi cab business. So you know how much you take in, you know how much you take out, you know how much you pay for gas, you know
Sure.
all about those things.
Sure.
If you know that you have a problem with the gas company,
I didn't at then. I didn't.
well, you did. You had a problem with all your utilities. You don't build up utility bill of $1,000 for various utilities
That's
because
easy
you paid
up north.
them.
That's easy up north. Especially like this. I mean, even this year. I mean, I'm living in a small place.
What
and my
about
bills
your
are $400
cable?
a month.
How does one build up an $800 cable bill?
Well, that's because she didn't take the boxes back. The converted boxes.
Just a minute.
I told
We're
her to take
talking
them
about
back.
you.
I told her to take them back. She didn't take them back.
Why didn't you take them back?
Because it wasn't in my name. I asked her to do it.
Just a minute. In whose house were they?
Our house at the time.
Why didn't you or your wife take them back?
Because I worked. She doesn't drive.
What did
and
you
we
do
lived
with
in the
them?
country, and I.
What happened to them?
I don't know. They may have got left. I don't
Stop
know.
being a big baby. You owe your mother the money. Come on.
I don't
Stop
owe
being
my
a
mother-
big.
No, I don't owe my mother nothing.
Stop being a big baby,
I don't
Bob.
owe my mother the money. I give her money all the time, okay?
I don't-
Bob
listen
can have
to me.
$20 to go to bingo. Can I do it? Oh, she still does
I'm
it now.
not talking.
She still does it now.
I'm not talking to you.
You know, I
sir.
feel like I have another.
I'm speaking.
I feel like I have another child.
Shh, listen to me.
I feel like I have another child here. I really do. I love my mother to death, but she's a pain in the ass.
Then don't live with her.
I'm not. She's moving. That's great.
Shh. I want you to try to listen. Try to receive rather than give out. I mean, I know it's hard.
Go on.
When you pull in your parent to help out, there's always a problem. When you're a grown-up and you have your own family and you want to make all of your own decisions, then you live separate and apart from your mother. But if you're a grown-up and you have your family and you have to ask for whatever assistance it is, even for a short time, from your mother, and then you say, well, you may be my mother, but you're not my mother who's going to give me advice. You're not my mother who's going to tell me what to do. She wouldn't have to tell you what to do if you didn't ask her for a favor. You asked her for a favor. Whatever it was, your circumstances were such that you couldn't cut it alone. So you moved in with her, even for a short period of time. And that creates friction. But how many grandmothers do your children have?
One.
You are being so totally unfair to her and your children.
Why is that?
Because children are entitled to have the widest possible community of love and affection that they can. And if, because of this argument that you're having with your mom, your children are affected by it, that's a terrible thing to do to your kids. Now, if you think, Bob, that I believe that it's the right thing for a mother to sue her child, I don't.
No.
I think that, Mrs. Bennett, that it's a dumb thing to do, because I think that what you have to do is you have to take a hard swallow and say, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again because I can't afford it, but I'm not going to sue my son because I just refuse to do that. So I think that that's a mistake. I believe you that he owes you the money for the utility bills. I think that he probably hit some hard times, and he's got kids, and he's got his own expenses, and he has gas, and he has food, and he probably has insurance, and he has medical bills, and he has all kinds of other stuff, so that you were covering this, and it was on the back burner. And I believe that everything else that he's telling me are excuses, but I think it's a mistake to sue your child. That being said, I think that if you use as retaliation that you're going to cut her off from her grandchildren, that's a mistake, because it's a mistake for your children.
I mean, she has the audacity to try and sue me for money that was paid to her.
I don't believe it was paid to her, Bob.
It was.
I don't believe it was paid to her out of gas money and cigarette money.
That being said,
listen to me. That being said, you asked for her help.
Because she has copies of bills that she didn't pay?
Receive. I just said to you, it's a mistake to embroil your children in adult problems. In any event, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm not proud of what I had to do, but I had to do it.
Well, you've been conned by the biggest con artist I know.
I love my son. I love my grandkids, and he won't let me see them.
What's she going to sue me for next, you know?
He blows up and says, I'm a man, you know, I don't need a mommy.
I mean, I don't care now. She's moving. Goodbye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton Price versus Grum Boys. Step forward, please.
Medical assistant Victoria Cotton and tax assistant Dane Price are suing their former roommate, bartender Angela Grumboyce, for overcharging them for rent and emotional distress.
Who is speaking for the two of you?
That would be myself, Your Honor.
And you are?
Victoria Cotton.
All right, Miss Cotton, you and Mr. Price rented a room, answered an ad and rented a room from the defendant. And it is your claim that you were overcharged in rent and some other nonsense about her not telling you about her past, which you think she should have told you before you rented the room. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me take care of that part first.
Okay.
You're not entitled to know the social criminal background of anybody who is your landlord. You're renting a room, she doesn't have to tell you whether she suffers from any illness whatsoever. Nor does she have to give you information regarding if she had any prior activities with law enforcement or social services. You're not entitled to that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Now let's talk about the rent. When did you answer this ad, and when did you move in?
I answered the ad on April the 23rd. I moved into her home on April the 30th.
Who moved in?
I did, Your Honor.
Just you?
Yes.
So what's he doing here?
I've been living there since January.
With her?
No.
So what are you doing there as a plaintiff?
I was being overcharged in the beginning, but I didn't even notice it because I was at work all the time. She brought it to my attention.
So the two of you moved in separately?
That's correct.
And you're both suing her for overcharging you rent?
That's correct.
Tell me what kind of an apartment this was.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was to include laundry and kitchen privileges.
Uh-huh.
When I met with Ms. Grumboyce, I stated to her that I had 2 children. One would be with me constantly. The other one was going to be with me on a part-time basis.
And when did you move in?
January 1st.
Okay. And what was the rent that you agreed on?
$475.
And what rent were you paying?
I was paying $500, Your Honor.
Now, why do you think she was overcharging you in rent?
When I first interviewed with her, she had stated to myself and to Mr. Price that we were all going to be paying equal shares of rent and utilities. Shortly after I had moved in, I had noticed some behavior and things that caused me to investigate further. I went to her manager's office at the apartment complex and I inquired as to what the rent was. She told me that the rent was $1,200 a month. Well, with my $500, Mr. Price's $475, I calculated that she was paying $200 to $225.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that previous tenants before me paid $550, which means that she paid even less.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 2.
And how many months did you live there, sir?
6.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about what the law is. This is not a rent-controlled situation. This is not a situation where the government does oversight when someone rents rooms in their apartment or even rents rooms in their house. Let's say you're renting an apartment in a big apartment building, and you want to negotiate the rent with the landlord who wants to charge you $500 a month. And the landlord says to you, listen, I have to charge you $500 a month rent because it costs me $400 a month in order to maintain each unit. So in order for me to make any profit, I have to charge you $500. And you agree to pay $500. Later, you find out that it only costs the landlord $300 a month to maintain each unit. You think that you can go back to the landlord and say, I want a reduction in my rent. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. If it's true that she said that to you, that you were going to be sharing the rent equally, that's what they call in the trade puffing. That's like when you go to buy a car and the salesman said, listen, the car costs us $26,000. I'm giving it to you for $50 over that price. And you say, okay. And then you find out that instead of making $50 on the car sale, he made $550 on the car sale. You think he's going to give you back your money? She was cutting her rent. There's nothing wrong with that.
Your Honor, she herself is not even on the lease. She's lived there for 10.5 years.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there. Her contract specifically states that she is not to be subleasing, although her management company claims that they know that she has roommates.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. You weren't evicted, were you?
No.
Left on your own. She's allowed to do what she's doing. There's no oversight. So you don't have a lawsuit. Do you understand that? But that's the law. Do you understand that that's the law? Whether you agree with it or not.
I understand.
That's what the law is. So you're not living there anymore. Go, be happy, have a nice life. Forget it. Goodbye. You were lovely. You presented a very good case.
Yeah, right. Versus Bilsbach-Termott. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors.
What was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam.
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before
I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words. Trash it or fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody is on heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So
Honor,
you have to pay for all the damage.
maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage is well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically the trailer's worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't you
hasn't
just live
insured-
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids.
When we moved in,
If you're, just a second. Did you move from your family's house into this property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up.
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles.
Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes.
They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts.
Sherry told us
to get rid of them.
Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it
So
says...
it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I heard
when
you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in-
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
As a
there-
landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her...
May I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused, because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this. It was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. So we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it.
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, while we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys. But I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
we had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice, go and get bills, go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that does not just need seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to two teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy you material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean,
Give me
it's
a break.
something
How
I
much
can't.
did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
Quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's not
driveway.
what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The neighbors
They don't
are-
want to know you. I got
The
news
neighbors
for you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We had,
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
well, in Nebraska it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
Correct.
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because it
hearsay.
got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean,
Sure.
it didn't.
It was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
Spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting.
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in -30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it
told me
starting,
she was
listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Chambers. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, lady, have seats, please.
Ms. Peary, you had provided child care for Mr. Chambers' children for some time. Your complaint is that he removed his two children from your daycare facility recently without giving you the requisite month's notice. He had only given you 2 weeks' notice because he had paid the beginning of the month and he removed the children in the middle of the month. Mr. Chambers states that he believes that his children received inadequate care. He was quite concerned about an incident that occurred at your daycare facility with one of his children, and because of that, he should not be required to give you the 30 days notice. That's your position, sir. Is that right?
That is my position, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you start to take care of the Chambers children?
Initially in January of 2001.
And how old were they at that time?
They were quite young. The youngest was crawling, and their older was around 1-ish.
That would be hard. How old were your children in January of 2001, sir?
I believe my youngest was just about 6 months, and the older, I believe, Your Honor, was just turned 2.
And they were there full time?
That's correct.
Now, there was a time when they left your facility for a brief period of time, and then they came back a few months later. When did they terminate your service?
December.
December what?
Of 2002.
December what?
Well, they had paid through the last day of December.
When did they remove the children? What date? Yes, sir.
December 19th, I believe, Your Honor.
Oh, right, where they did not come back. That's correct.
Now, Mr. Chambers, you're going to tell me why you removed the children on the 19th.
On that date, I, along with my friend, had gone to pick up my children. It was approximately 4:45. When I arrived, my child, who was 3 at the time, was sitting next to a piano in the living room, crying, and he had...
What's his name?
His name is Tyler. And he was wearing this shirt, Your Honor, and it was soaked on this sleeve, and he had chewed little holes in here. He was sitting on the floor. I didn't see any adult, so I went over and I addressed him and asked what was going on. At that stage, my 2-year-old ran up and said, Tyler's in trouble. Then the adult supervisor at the time, whose name was Liz, entered the room and said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. We're very angry at Tyler." I asked her, well, what's going on? She goes, he scratched Mrs.
Just a second. Is Liz an employee of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is she now?
Because of the incident, they had a state investigation, and all claims were cleared. And so
Where is she now?
She's working at the daycare.
You did not bring her?
No, ma'am.
Where were you during this incident?
I was present.
You were there at 4:45 p.m.?
I had left at 3:45.
So you weren't there at 4:45?
Correct.
Her employee's working. She chose not to bring her. I'm going to let you tell me what she told you.
Yes, ma'am. And also,
she said they were very angry at Tyler.
They were very angry at Tyler. He had scratched Miss Jen's piano. She showed me the scratches. There was considerable damage. He is only 3. To me, it was my understanding he had been doing it for some time.
Did Tyler cause considerable damage to your piano?
No, I did a simple polish on the piano, and they all but disappeared.
At the time, it looked like it was scratched?
Oh, it had been scratched, but it wasn't considerable. It wasn't anything that I was too concerned about. But he had done something.
Okay. Were you present when he scratched the piano?
Yes, ma'am.
What time did he scratch the piano?
It was during nap time, which was 12:30, between 12:30 and 2 o'clock.
Well, where were you?
During nap time, he lays in the living area, the general area, and I am in the kitchen area, which overlooks the general area.
You did not see him marking up the piano?
No, I did not.
When did you discover that he had marked up the piano?
When I was cleaning up after nap time.
What time, 2 o'clock?
Yes, it was between 2 and 2:30, and had found the scratches and said, "Tyler, did you do this? What happened?" And he showed me he had brought in a piece of clay from outside. We'd had a windstorm and a pot broke. Brought it in and had started writing his T's and his letters on the piano.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is not a business for you, madam.
I've been in the business for 13 years.
Well, I want
love
to tell you
their
something.
children.
I don't know where, but I wouldn't leave my child with you.
They're very well watched over. In fact,
what I'm telling you is it's outrageous.
And later today,
I finally got the chow off, and I went back to get the Rottweiler off. That's when I got bit in the thumb. I picked my dog up, and he was full of holes.
child care provider Jennifer Peary says former client Mitchell Chambers owes for breaking their contract. Mitchell claims Jennifer gave his son a 3-hour timeout.
So from 2:30 to 4:45, he was in timeout?
No, ma'am. No. He was in a 15-minute timeout.
Yeah. Well, why was he still sitting in a corner at 4:45 crying?
That is not the case.
Well, you weren't there from 3:45 until at least 4:45, is that right?
I did ask
Okay. Now, what did her employee Liz tell you?
I asked her, well, when did this happen? And she stated between 12:30 and 1. The children were down for naps, and she heard Miss Jen scream and was upset about the piano, and then she said that they found some pottery in the room. They asked Tyler, and Tyler said he had scratched the piano. And this is the shirt that he was wearing, and his diaper was also wet. I have reason to believe I can't understand that he wasn't there for 3 hours.
Right. Your Honor, he regularly chewed on his clothing. He was a very nervous child, and he regularly chewed holes in his clothing and had quite a bit of saliva and drool, so that was very normal for him to chew on his clothing. And when I left at 3:45, I told my employee, go make dinner, get, the evening ready. He was done with his timeout. It had been done and over with.
Who was your employee?
Liz.
How many children do you have?
There were probably approximately 11.
11 children, and how many employees? One?
It is myself.
You weren't there at
Right,
3:45?
I have 3 employees.
How many were there that day?
2. At that time, it was 1.
And you told the one employee that was there to go inside in the kitchen and get ready for dinner?
At the time,
that's what you just
she
told
is
me.
not
I mean,
left
is that
with-
what you just told me? You told me you left, you had one other employee, you had 11 children, including at least 2 toddlers, one 2 years old and one 3 years old.
Right.
One that had already brought a sharp enough object into the house so that they could damage a piece of wood. That piece of sharp object that he brought in from the house could just as easily have hurt him as hurt your piano. And you left 11 children in the care of one person who you told to go in and prepare dinner.
There were not 11 children there at the time.
Well, that's
there
what
was
I
there
asked you.
in the day.
I asked you how many children were there on December 19th.
For the total day. But when I leave one employee in charge, no more than 8 children can be there at a time.
Good. You left one person with 8 children,
correct,
toddlers, and you told that employee to go and prepare dinner.
Right. She takes the children with her into the kitchen area.
Miss Perry?
Pardon me?
You're going from bad to worse, madam.
Oh, I'm just trying to get my point across.
You're getting your point across. She takes all 8 children with her into the kitchen to cook dinner?
That is
Where were you
correct.
going at 2:45?
My daughter has piano practice, and I take her to practice, and then I come back home. So the situation had not gotten out of hand.
Miss Perry.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not a business for you, madam.
I've been in the business for 13 years.
Well, I want
loved
to tell you
their
something. I
children.
don't know where, but I wouldn't leave my child with you. You have 8 toddlers that you're putting in a kitchen with somebody who's preparing dinner, and you're out taking your daughter to piano practice. That's outrageous.
They're very well watched over. In
What I'm telling you is it's outrageous, and you shouldn't be here. So if you've been in business for 13 years, I would suggest that you take your business and its good name and walk out the door, because if they gave you 2 weeks' notice under these circumstances, that's all you were entitled to. Goodbye.
Can I mention the state?
Goodbye.
She didn't even let me
Why does
say
that
anything.
excuse me? Step out.
They had the state investigate me. They did a 30-day grueling investigation, and I was cleared of all charges.
It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that they couldn't prove it.
I really don't think they wanted to pay me. They wanted to get out of payment, and so they made up a story.
The children obviously aren't old enough to really be a witness. They pretty much took my version and then her version and said it was a draw.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Meyer versus McDermott. Step forward, please.
Terry Meyer is suing student Elisa McDermott for vet bills and pain and suffering due to a dog attack. Elisa says Terry's dog attacked first.
Mr. Meyer, it is your claim that the defendant's dogs bit not only you, which was a minor injury, but seriously injured your dog by biting your dog. You want the defendant to be responsible for all of the bills that you sustained as a result of this attack. Ms. McDermott says that the whole incident was your fault. So I'd like you to tell me where this happened, what time it happened, who else was present when it happened.
It happened on January 12th in our city park, and I walk my dog there every day, 3 times a day.
What kind of a dog do you have?
I have a little rat terrier husky mix,
How much does the dog weigh?
about 25, 30 pounds.
What time of the day were you walking?
6 o'clock, exactly.
Go ahead.
I got out of my truck and I walked down to the lake, and my dog was on a leash, and I felt the leash go all the way out, and I turned around and there was 2 dogs on my dog chewing on him.
Excuse me?
Don't speak until I get to you.
Okay, thank you.
I turned around and the dogs were chewing on my dog, and his leash broke. I ran over to my
What kind of a lead was it? One of those that...
a retractable on a little cord, but he's a little dog, and the dogs were chewing him up. I ran over there, and I jumped on the dogs. There was nobody around when I jumped down on the dogs. Then all of a sudden, I looked up, and she was standing there.
What kind of dogs were these?
One was a Rottweiler Black Lab mix, and one was a Chow dog. The Rottweiler had his jaws locked on my dog's behind, and I couldn't get him off. I screamed at the lady to help me get her dogs off of him, and she couldn't get him off. So
Did she try?
She tried, but she couldn't get him off. I pulled the Rottweiler's jaws off my dog, and I got him off, and then I went to get the chow off my dog, and the Rottweiler grabbed back a hold. So I was fighting with two dogs at the same time. I finally got the chow off, and I went back to get the Rottweiler off. That's when I got bit in the thumb. I picked my dog up, and he was full of holes. I could almost reach inside of his stomach.
He had several surgeries.
Yeah, he had to go in surgery like 2 or 3 times.
Okay, how did you find Miss McDermott?
I searched everywhere. I couldn't find her after I took my dog to the vet. She was gone already. The police came there right away. They couldn't find her. Then the city newspaper printed it in the paper.
And you went into the police station?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Now let's go back to the 12th.
Okay.
At about 6 o'clock in the evening, you're walking your 2 dogs. One is a Rottweiler mix.
Yes, I have. Did you want pictures?
I'd like to take a look at them, please, Bird.
And I also have something from the vet, and I have his vet bill.
Want to tell me what happened with your dogs?
Okay,
on the
it
12th?
was dark. It had just snowed quite a bit. We came around some evergreen trees, and I see a white, and I think it had some black on it, dog running at my dogs. So my dogs protected themselves. They did not attack his dog.
Were your dogs off the leash?
Yes, they were. And I paid the fine, and his dog actually was off the leash also.
I know, but unfortunately, his dog didn't bite yours, nor did his dog bite you.
He threw himself on his dog. My
Doesn't make
dogs
any-
didn't go after him.
All precipitated by the fact that there were dogs off the leash. Ms.
And
McDermott.
actually, his dog did bite mine, but my dogs, as you can see in the pictures, have really thick fur.
I'm waiting for why you don't think you're responsible.
Because his dog wasn't on a leash, my dog wasn't on a leash. My dog did not attack his dogs, nor did they attack him.
Well, let me ask you this question. What efforts did you make to pry your dog away from his dog?
He ran about the same time I did. He threw himself on his dog, and I retrieved my dogs. He never tried to retrieve my dogs because he was laying on the ground over his dog.
What caused you to go to the police?
The first time I checked, there had been nothing said about it, and then friends of mine had read it in the newspaper. Because I walk all over town, everybody knows what dogs I have.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I have these vet bills, and is this correct that your total out-of-pocket expense for your dog was $304?
Exactly.
Is there any other evidence that you want to give me?
Yes, I have pictures of my dog.
I'd like to see them.
Here's one before. There's the dog after he was attacked, and me.
What did you do for the bite on your thumb?
I cleaned it up. I was so occupied with all this, I didn't have time to go to the doctor. This was a 17-day nightmare. I mean, my dog could hardly move. He couldn't do anything. I have...
Miss McDermott, is this the first summons you've received for letting your dogs be
Yes.
without a leash? Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. I have her arrest. Well, she turned herself in, but they considered it an arrest.
Can I see that, Bird?
And if her dog didn't bite before, why did she put her own dog to sleep?
Which dog did you put to sleep?
I put the chow to sleep.
Why?
Because when he was very young, I had problems between the 2 dogs. And what I felt about the incident was that Chewy is that's the chow that I put to sleep, is a very protective dog. He's not a vicious dog, he doesn't attack, but he was very protective of me. And I didn't want to have a situation where a young girl lost control or a young child lost control of their dog. It happened in another city.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, she put the chow to sleep, but the Rottweiler did all that damage. Those dogs were vicious. I mean, there was... And what if it was a little kid at the park? Because we live by school.
Well, Miss McDermott then takes a serious risk. This is certainly some serious damage that was done to this dog, and this was done by the Rottweiler.
Yeah, most of it, just the puncture wounds on the back.
See, now I don't know how he can say he knows which dog gave, because he threw himself on the dog and it was screaming and excited, and his dog ran at us.
He knows.
So
I put my hands in their mouth to
knows.
pry them out. I know what dog they were.
He knows. Okay, so the pain and suffering that you're asking for
Yes.
is the pain and suffering for the dog.
Yes.
I don't know of any court that awards pain and suffering for the animal, sir. This clearly was a situation that was instigated, in my judgment, by her two dogs being off the leash. And I wish I had more confidence in the fact, Mr. Mayor, that your dog was on a leash.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm
yes,
saying
I
to you,
do.
sir? I'm not so confident that when you let your dog out of the truck,
Right.
you weren't just going to go around the park comfortably like she was doing. That doesn't say that this should be the result.
Right.
So absolutely, Ms. McDermott has to pay for your vet bills. And I'm also sure that, are you a working man?
No, I'm disabled. I don't work. I spent 17 days taking care of this dog.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say you
Yeah.
are also would also be entitled to the time that you spent away from your job tending to the dog.
Yeah.
Taking the dog to the vet, but you are unemployed.
No,
So
I'm
you're
disabled. Yes.
Okay. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $304. Thank you. That's all.
Parties at Walker versus Stubbs. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
I see a whole bunch of ladies here, but no men. Where is he?
I tried to talk him into coming, but he was too embarrassed to be on TV with this matter. Yes.
They caused the trouble.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And they just drop it and walk away. So, ladies, let's us have a little talk.
Yes.
You want me to
Miss-
leave?
No, you can stay, Bert. You're close enough. You were seeing the defendant's husband.
Right. Yes.
And you claimed at the time you started to see him, you didn't know he was married. You
Exactly.
found out he was married. Your claim is that even when you broke up with him, or he broke up with you, whatever it was, that his wife, the defendant, vandalized your property, caused you great stress, was harassing you. She says that it's actually you who were doing the stalking, the harassing, the interfering with her family. So I have a claim and a counterclaim, each in the same amount of money, $1,000. Right?
Right.
And somebody has a protective order. Who has a protective order?
I do.
I'd just like to take a look at that document, please. When did you start to see her husband?
Say 96, September of 96.
And how long did you see him?
For approximately a year.
And you haven't seen him since 1997?
Well, actually, I haven't seen him since like 99. Actually, I've seen him, but not as a relationship. I've seen him. Or as him fixing my car. He has a shop. He's a mechanic.
But since 1999, you haven't had a romantic relationship with him?
No.
You telling me the truth?
Yes, I mean, I'm married and everything. I've gotten married and everything, so.
It's over.
Been over.
You have any information?
Yes.
They've been seeing each other since?
She was just trying to convince me that she was still dating him just last month.
How was that?
She was calling my cell phone, and I have my cell phone bill. When she was in the hospital and she was so sick, but she had enough time to call me continuously.
Did you call her for any reason?
Well, actually, she called me, and she came to my house and left a letter at my house on the 12th of April. This is how this whole thing started. She came to my house, left this letter right here, which is the same date that she broke the window, which is the pictures right here.
Just a second, just a second. Did you send this letter
I
to her?
did.
Could we talk for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like grown-up gals. You have a husband?
Mm-hmm.
He's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have anything to do with her husband?
No.
You believe that?
Well, I believe it now.
Do you have children?
No, I don't. I have custody of my niece, though.
How old is she?
9 years old.
How long have you had custody of her?
Well, like the last 6 years. She's been with me for about 6 years.
And you have a husband?
Yes.
How long are you married?
Since August 26th of 2000.
Is he a nice man?
Very.
What kind of work does he do?
In the oil refinery, the oil field.
And do you work?
No, I don't.
So you stay home and take care of your niece?
Exactly.
Any reason you want to have grief with this lady?
Well, no, I don't have a problem with her.
How old are you?
32.
Any reason why you should want to have grief with this lady? Or grief in your life?
No, but what I'm saying is,
The answer
can I
is no.
explain myself?
The answer is no.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to have any grief in your life, right?
No, I don't.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been married?
I've been married 6 years.
Does your husband work?
Yes, he does.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a mechanic.
You have to find someplace else, by the way, to have your car fixed. I know you haven't been back there in a while. Find someplace else. There are lots of mechanics.
No problem, you're right.
Because that just starts trouble. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't want to have any further dealings with her, do you?
Never did.
So why don't we come together, ladies, and come to terms with the fact that all of this trouble started because a guy was cheating on his wife, using 2 women at the same time. Because he didn't tell you he was married, right?
No, he didn't.
That's what you told me. And I'm sure he didn't tell you he was fooling around.
Can I say something?
Yes.
When he was cheating with her and she found out he was married, she thought she should help him to destroy his marriage, and she started calling my job to tell me what color underwear my husband has on as if I didn't wash them.
Just a minute. Let me tell you something. He was the user.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he conned her into thinking he was available, he allowed her emotions to run full circle. And all of a sudden, she finds out he's married. It's much easier to take things out on each other than it is to take things out on the person who's responsible, and that's the guy who was afraid to come to court today, right?
Right.
Why should you 2 ladies be dumb enough to suffer for what he did, which is really what you've been doing to each other? Both of you have been doing it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you. And that's ridiculous. He caused the trouble. You know, he makes a mess and he walks away, leaving 2 ladies to fight over him, and he's probably enjoying it, and he's probably not worth it. Very few of them are.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Natalie Walker says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Deshaun Stubbs, broke her living room window with a bottle of Snapple. Natalie also claims Deshaun slashed her tires and wrote defamatory statements on her garage door.
Yeah, what do you want? Tell me.
Yes, I would like to just say that's really not the problem, wanting him or nothing, or bothering her or nothing like this. My problem is this Easter I was in the hospital, and she came up to the hospital 2 days in a row, you know, to confront me and fight me. We had a fight. I have to report everything at the hospital. This is the problem I'm having with her coming to where I am, you know what I'm saying, as a patient in a hospital and create problems for me.
I read that, and I read that you went to the hospital twice. She was in the hospital.
She was. And I did not assault her, and if I did, I would have been arrested.
Why did you go to the hospital?
She asked me to, and here's my phone bill to prove it. She was calling me, and she was so sick, but yet she wasn't too sick to call me on 439, 442, 518, 519.
Why, just a minute, why did you call her house?
No, her cell phone after she called me. I never called her house. No, I didn't.
Why did you call her cell phone?
Because she had previously called me, and I star 69'd her back. That's how I called her back.
What did you say when you got her on the phone?
I called her and I asked her, I said, why would you call me every year on my birthday like this to create a problem for me? I told you I wasn't messing with your husband. We were just arguing like that over the phone.
Tell me what else was said.
Then she hung up, and then she called me back, and she was like, well, I don't want to cuss. Well, like she said, like I told you, I'm going to make sure you don't mess with my husband, and this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to come. I know where you at. You know I can find where you are.
How many times did you call her on her cell phone that day?
Twice.
What'd you call the second time for?
Well, because she hung up. She hung up in my face while we were arguing after she said something.
So what'd you call her back for?
To make my point.
So what was your point that you made to her?
That I wasn't messing with her husband, and I'm very tired of her coming around every so often.
You told her that already?
That was the point I was steadily making.
So then she comes up to the hospital?
Yes.
And she came up to the hospital twice?
Yes,
to
2
see
days.
you. And the second time you had her arrested?
No.
Well, no. Both, they just wrote it out. They didn't arrest her neither time. They escorted her out one night, and then the other night. It's all in this report. What
Fine.
happened. So if you would like to see it.
No. The second time she came up, she also says it was a mistake. It was the mistake to go to the hospital to see her the first time, right?
It was a mistake.
And it was a mistake to go to see her the second time.
It was she baited me there.
I don't care whether she baited you there. Come on. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
You got how many children?
I have 3 stepkids and a child me and my husband have together, but we take care of all 4 kids.
So you have 4 children to take care of. You got better things to do than to go to the hospital to visit somebody that you can't stand. Look, as a result of that, there's an order of protection against you.
I filed one against her as well.
But I don't have it.
Well, that's because I just filed today.
Well, but you filed today. No, listen to me.
She
has one against you. The order of protection. You have to stay 100 yards, 100 feet, 100 miles away from her. You're not supposed to go near her at all.
Which was violated yesterday.
I did not come within 100 yards of you.
Yesterday, she brought 2 of her friends to my house. They were at my house when I got home. And I was going home to take these pictures to bring to you of my window, so I had a camera with me.
Let me see the window pictures.
And so what I did was, while they tried to run off while I was calling the police, I took a picture of them leaving down the alley because I had the camera. And I got an incident report number that they took yesterday.
That would not be a picture of me,
Can
Your
you give her
Honor.
that? Because this is the report
And that's not
number.
a picture of me. And I also have a picture
Because
of her
you was
window.
in the car, that's why.
Yeah, but I wasn't.
You have a picture of a broken window here. When was your window broken?
On the 12th of April. The same time she dropped the letter off.
Okay. Did you see her break the window?
Yes, I was there because I have a bars all around and I have a bar door. I can open my door without going out and see her and everything, the way my house
How did she
is.
break the window?
With a Snapple bottle, Snapple juice bottle. She threw it as she was leaving or whatever. She threw it into the window.
After she put the note in your mailbox?
Yeah, she came in the yard, put the note, banged on the door, of course. I yelled to her that I wasn't going to come out, be trying to fight with her. And she said what she had to say, cussed and did what she had to do, got in her car and pulled to the side because you see my gate right there next to the alley and just threw it. That's that side window by the alley right there.
You have a bill for the window?
Yes. Well, I have an estimate. Yes, I do.
I'd like to see an estimate for the window.
This for the window and the actual tires that she put on the flat.
You'll tell me about that in a minute.
Tell you about that?
In a minute.
Oh,
I want to see the estimate from... Right. Now tell me about the tires.
Okay, here's the picture, the estimate, and everything about that. Wow, this was like right after Valentine's, right?
What year?
This year. She came over once again, banging on the door, yelling, talking about come outside, what she would do to me. I tells her once again I'm not coming outside, so she takes a knife. This car was right here in front of the house, and just stabbed the tires.
You have a police report on that?
Well, actually, this right here, on the 12th, I just made a report. It's just an incident report. I don't have like this right here. This was from '99 when she ran into my garage.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
God.
I also want you to see this, Judge Judy.
She is lying.
See what?
This is just a report from the hospital and from my niece who was actually there.
Let me see.
When we, I want you to see
When
that.
I beat her up.
There you go.
What you got?
What kind of conversations did you have in the hospital? First time she came.
On Saturday, when she approached me, it was at the nurse station, she said, I want to know what my husband brought you for your birthday, if you got anything. And I'm like, what? How you going to come to the hospital and ask me about what your husband got me for my birthday? And so she started cussing. She said, because that's my husband, and I told you to stop messing with my husband, and we got to verbally arguing, and she swung and hit me. This is how my IV came out that particular day, because I had to have surgery to put another one in. And 2 nurses came, the security came. My niece was standing right there with me because I was walking her to the elevator to leave. That's why I was out of my room, period. And they just broke it up. They detained me, put me into the supervisor's room or something, and they just escorted her out. And then
After that incident, I'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
After that incident, did you call her again that night on her cell phone? Did you call her again?
No, I don't believe I called her that night after that.
You don't remember whether
No,
you
I
called her
honestly
that
don't
night?
think that I called her that night. No, I don't.
Okay, what time of the day did she leave the hospital?
That night, this happened about 9:30 at night.
At night?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any phone record after 9 o'clock at night?
I
Did
wasn't
she
there
call
at
you?
9.
What time were you there?
It was like 8 o'clock, 7 or 8. It was before
7,
visiting
8,
hours
9.
are
Did you have any
after
phone
visiting
record
hours.
after that she called you?
Actually, Your Honor, I turned my phone off and she just left me.
The answer is either yes or
Okay,
no.
no.
Okay.
I don't have it
Fine.
here.
Fine. Now, the next day she came back. Is that right?
About 10 o'clock Easter morning.
What happened when she came back at 10 o'clock in the morning?
I was at the nurse station, and she approached me and the nurse. The nurse was right there, and she verbally threatened me again. And
What did
said,
she
"When you
say?"
she said, I'm going to find you anywhere you at, and when you get out, I'm going to kick your still. And that's when the nurse immediately called security, so it wasn't no fight or nothing Sunday. Nothing happened. It was just verbal things, and
Okay,
they put her out.
Stop. Between 8 o'clock Saturday evening and 10 o'clock Easter morning, do you have any record of the plaintiff making a telephone call to you?
Yes, I do.
What time?
She called me at 2:27 p.m. and she also called me...
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't understand my
I
question.
didn't. Let me hear it once more.
Then I want you to pay attention.
Okay.
From 8 o'clock Saturday night until 10 a.m. Easter morning, do you have any record that the plaintiff called you?
Yes.
What time?
10:28 a.m.
No.
Oh.
Before 10 o'clock.
Oh, before. She called me at before 10 o'clock. Not before 10, no.
Then she didn't call you to come back to the hospital. You say in your answer that she called you to come back to the hospital, Miss Stubbs.
I'm just confused, Your Honor. She called me...
Stop being confused.
She called me on the 14th.
I'm already past the 14th. You left the hospital. You were escorted out of the hospital.
Well, then she called me all the next day.
I want you to pay careful attention to me, madam. You're escorted out of the hospital Saturday night. You come back to the hospital Easter morning. That's clear from the report.
Okay.
And what I asked you is, why did you come back?
Off.
Your phone was off,
Yes.
so she did not call you.
She did. She left me messages. She left me messages all morning. She called me. Yes, she did.
Oh, well, I don't have those messages.
That's because my phone was off.
You have those messages written down?
No, I
You have
erased them.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Then I don't believe you.
Your Honor, her number's all on here. She called me.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
She did call me to come back.
No. No. And if she did and you went, you shouldn't have. All right, let's hear your counterclaim. 1, 2, 3, mental anguish.
Your Honor, I have my doctor's statements.
I don't read doctor's statements.
Okay, well, she used to call my job with her sexual harassment, you know, and I would have to leave my job at times. If she had a date with my husband, you know, being the other woman, she would call me, you know, and rub my nose in.
We're talking about 2 years ago.
No, we are talking about recent. She's trying to convince me, and she was trying to convince me when she was in the hospital that she was still seeing my husband. She was saying that he is doing all kind of sexual things to her, and that is what she was trying to convince me while she was in the hospital.
Let me tell you something, Miss Stubbs. When you write a letter to her that says, this time of year I usually have problems out of you by now, could this be that I'm finally rid of you? That you wrote to her on 4/12/01.
Yes.
Which suggests to me that for a long period of time, you had not heard from her. You hadn't heard from her for a long time. What'd you start up with her again for? Because you had no reason to start up with her. And then you write something else. I bet you didn't get any something for your birthday. This time, did you? So you were giving her a little bit of a dig that she didn't have your husband for her birthday this time. You're a troublemaker. Get over it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I believe that she slashed your tires. I believe that she broke your window. And I believe she came to the hospital to harass you. You're suing her for $1,000, and I'm going to grant you judgment for $1,000. But I'm telling you this, I tried to start out this case very clearly by saying, ladies, if you allow a man to make a fool out of you, you're a bigger fool. And if you allow your husband to make a big fool out of you, then that's what you are, a big fool. Get over it. She doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Case number 195 on the calendar in the matter of Hilson versus Randall. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Hilson, according to the complaints that I have read, you and the defendant were very good friends, and then you had an argument. And it is your claim that after the argument, she vandalized your car by keying and scratching your car. When did this argument take place?
It started Sunday early evening, around 6.
Sunday, what date?
I'm sorry, July 22nd.
What was the argument about?
The argument was about a little boy, Micah, who was here. The defendant's daughter called me and asked me if I would babysit her mother's ex-boyfriend's son.
Which is this little boy?
Yes.
Shh.
And it was no problem. I said yes. When I woke up, the little boy was at my house. No one said, okay, we're here, the little boy is here, we're leaving. I woke up, he was at my house.
You have children?
I have, yes, 2 sons.
How old are
Joshua,
they?
4 years old, and Malik, 11 years old.
Okay. Let me hear, what was the argument about?
Okay, so he stayed at my house and spent the night. No one came to pick him up. No one called to say, we're back, you can bring him. The following day, I was giving them a bath. And Micah had all of these, like, scratches. It looked like flea bites. I just took it for granted that it was flea bites because the defendant had 11 cats and it had an infestation of fleas in her home. And she was recently evicted for that.
So you assumed it was flea bites?
I assumed it was flea bites. So when he began to scratch and the bumps came and he scratched till one area started bleeding. So I sat him down. I said, wait a minute, this isn't flea bites. This is something else. So I sat him down. I said, Micah, do you have chicken pox? He says, yes. Did your mother know you had it? He said, yes. I said, did Rhea, who's the defendant, did she know? Did her and Kendra know you had it? He says, yes, they put ointment on me. When he said that, I couldn't believe it. First of all, I was shocked. I was afraid for my children. He had slept in the same bed with my 4-year-old. I called Kaiser Hospital to see what could I do. Could I bring them in? Is there anything they can give me? They said, no, just clean your house. Clean your house, wipe everything down. So I tried to call them to say, come and get him now. Why did you do this? I was really upset. I really don't remember everything that I said, but I was upset.
Did you contact the defendant? Did you make contact with her?
No, I kept getting the recording. So after, I guess, an hour or two, I finally got them on the phone, and they were very nonchalant.
Who's they?
I got Rhea on the phone.
The defendant?
The defendant on the phone.
Okay.
And they were very nonchalant. She was very nonchalant about it.
Tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, Rhea, why did you let this little boy come over to my house knowing he was infected with chicken pox? She said, well, I didn't know it was chicken pox. She said, Kendra did mention to me the other day, the day before he came to my house. She said, Kendra did bring it to my attention that he had chicken pox, but for some reason, I guess she didn't look into it or whatever. But this little boy is staying at her house in her care.
Okay.
So then I heard his mother's, the little boy's mother's voice in the background. She screamed out and said, it's not chicken pox, it's measles. You know, okay. So I'm livid. I am livid at that point. And I said, just come and get him now. So what I did is I gave him some clean clothes. I put all the clothes that he had on in a bag, tied them up. I isolated him from my children. I put him, you know, in the living room and had them in the bedroom. And I waited and waited and waited. And she knows that I have to be at work early in the morning. They did not come and get him until around 10:30 that night.
What time had you called them and spoken to her?
It was around 6. Around
6 in the evening?
Mm-hmm.
And they came about 10:30?
About 10:30.
Okay.
And my plan, because I had to pray, I said, okay, I am just going to give her the little boy, give her the bag with his clothes in it, and just shut my door. I have nothing else to say to her. So when she finally came, that's what I did. I walked, when she came, I had him at the door, had the bag in my hand. I handed her the bag and the little boy and said, good night, I have nothing else to say to you. She pushed her way into my house and started cursing, saying, wait, just the whatever. She was just cursing, and I wasn't listening. I just said, just get out of my house. So the phone rang. She said, well, just give me my MF jeans. Just give me my jeans. I said, you're not getting anything.
What jeans is she talking about?
She's talking about a pair of red, blue jeans and a pair of white jeans that she gave me to wear. So when the phone rang and I picked it up, and I said, you're not getting anything, but get out of my house. But when I turned my back, she ran over across my living room, and I bought my son a really nice stereo, my 11-year-old, for Christmas. A really nice stereo, boombox or whatever. She ran over, grabbed that, snatched it out of the wall, broke the antenna, and ran out the door with it. When she ran out the door, I ran behind her, and I said, give me my son's radio. And she was trying to get in the car with it, but I got it from her and took it back. I ran back in the house, and I said, you know what? Wait right here. Let me give you these jeans, and I will have nothing else to do with you. She started ranting and raving in my parking lot saying, I don't want the MF jeans. She didn't want them at that point. I just shut my door. When I shut my door, she left with Micah, took him home or whatever. The next thing I know, she comes back with her daughter, Kendra, and they're ranting and raving outside. I don't know what they were saying. You're this and you're that, all in front of my neighbors.
What time was this?
It was right after she left. You know, she came about 10:30.
So it was sometime after 10:30?
Yeah, she came back.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm going to bed. I am not going to deal with them. But before she got to my house, she called me from the cell phone saying, you're going to pay. And I'm going to make sure you pay. So you take that for what it's worth. I know how to make you pay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beverly Hilson says after an argument with former friend Rhea Randall, her car was vandalized.
Go ahead.
So I called her back. I said, don't call my house and threaten me anymore. Because have you forgotten? And she had forgotten. When she was evicted from her apartment, she asked me to please keep a lot of her coats and clothes, you know, old stuff that she had in my son's. I didn't have any room for my own things. I said, have you forgotten that all of your clothes are over here and you're threatening me? I will throw all of this stuff out on the lawn right now and let people have their pick. And I did say that. I was very angry. You put my 4-year-old son's life in danger, and you won't even acknowledge any of it. They were just nonchalant. She said, and she called me back and said, if your precious son does happen to get chicken pox or measles, then that means they were supposed to have it. She said that she was going to make me pay. The police came. The police came. When the police came, the police knocked on my door and asked me if I had anything that belonged to her. I gave the police her clothes. In the meantime, they're calling me on the phone, saying all kind of crazy things, you're going to pay and this, that, and the other. No problem, okay? The next morning, I wake up, 6 o'clock in the morning. My child care provider came to pick my son up. And she said, Beverly, what's all this on your car? What's wrong with your car? I was like, nothing. She said, come out here. And I went outside, and, Your Honor, I have a statement. My total car, from front to back, every panel that's visible was scratched.
Let me see. You have pictures?
I don't have any pictures. I have the police report. I have a witness statement. The witness could not be here today, but they sent a statement.
Why can't the witness be here today?
They had prior commitments.
I can't accept that excuse, but I'm going to take a look at the police report.
Okay, here's the police report, including the witness statement, and also...
Don't give me the witness statement.
Okay.
Which one is the police report?
Is the witness statement contained in the police report?
Yes, it's in the police report.
Let me take a look. You called in the police report at about 8 o'clock in the morning, that next morning, I see. Is that right? Okay. The police report confirms the scratches all over the car, the entire car, and you have an estimate for the car.
I have an estimate,
Can I
also
see it,
a
please?
statement from the Earl Scheib. It's on the second page. And also, Your Honor, I'd just like to let the court know that a couple of weeks ago, before this court date, she called my job. And she said to me that, I'm going to be honest with you, my intent was just to flatten your tires. So her intent was just to flatten my tires.
All right. Ms. Randall, let me hear your version of the events, please.
Okay, Your Honor, the version that I'd like to give you of the events is the truth. I raised my right hand. There was no Bible. I wish there had been. Maybe Beverly would have been more forthcoming had there been. Almost all of what she said was not true. The first statement that came out of her mouth was the defendant's ex-boyfriend. His father is a friend of mine who is a comedian, and I am his godmother, and he stays with me regularly. Fine. On the night in question, that Saturday night, his father was opening at a new venue in the Valley. So I asked Beverly, through my daughter, if she could keep Micah so that I could go there. Would she mind keeping Micah? She said, fine. I called her a couple of times on my cell phone because the show was going longer than it had been expected. And I called her about 11 o'clock, and I said, Beverly, it's late, I'm in the Valley. I said, but I'll be there. She said, that's okay, just leave him here. It's too late to pick him up.
Okay.
So I didn't pick him up. The following morning, I went to church. She didn't go. Yes, there was a question. My eviction has nothing to do with this
My
case.
question to you is, so far what she says is absolutely accurate. You or your daughter asked her to babysit for Micah, whether she told you the boy could stay because it was too late or not is really not relevant. The boy stayed until the next day, and she was giving the boys a bath. Now, my question to you is, she says that Micah had chickenpox either recently or at that moment, but he certainly had marks from the chickenpox, and she says that when she called you, you did indicate to her that you knew you knew or had been told at some point that he had chickenpox. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Your Honor, what happened was, it was after we came from church, so that was around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. She came to bring him home, and she said, look at these marks on him. And I said, they look like flea bites. And so she said, I said, just give him here. She says, no, that's okay. I'll take him with me because I'm going home and I'm going to fix this dinner and he'll have dinner and then you come pick him up.
So far, that was very nice of her.
Right.
So far, there's no problem.
So far, there's no problem.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, so I get a call on my cell phone. At the time, I happened to be at Micah's mother's house getting my hair braided. And so she's ranting and raving on the phone about Micah having chicken pox. And I said, what are you talking about? Micah, you know that those are flea bites. She failed to mention the fact that she had a cat that she got from me. She had been complaining. The cat got killed because she allowed her son to throw it over the fence. Wait a minute.
Listen to me. Miss Randall.
No, Judge Judy, I'm trying to tell you that she has the fleas in her house. That's when she got raving mad.
Listen to me. Doesn't make sense. Because if she came to see you, as you said, after church, and wasn't concerned at all, something happened between after church at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock at night when she called you. And what happened was that she had a conversation with Micah, and Micah told her that he had chicken pox. Now, he may have been wrong, but something happened. She did not become psychotic between 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock at night, Miss Randall, because she was doing you a favor. She said, bring him over. According to you, she said, don't even bother to come back now. It's too late. Stay, have a good time. I'll pick him up in the morning. Then you see her the next day after church, and still everything is fine, and you say, leave him here. And she said, no, I'll take him home and have dinner because I'm going to make dinner. So far, she's being a really good sport. Does that sound right to you?
Sounds right to me.
And then if I were to believe your version of the events, she took some kind of mind-altering drug between 2 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon and became psychotic. And I'm telling you, that doesn't fit with my common sense barometer. So Micah may have said to her, in response to a question, she may have said to him, do you have chicken pox? And he may have said yes. Maybe he didn't. He may not have told her the accurate story, but she legitimately felt at that point that you and your daughter placed her children at risk of infection with a child who was infected with chicken pox. As a parent, you can understand that if that's what she believed. So what I want to know is, what was all the hoopla about? If she spoke to her at 6 o'clock, how come you didn't get there until 10 o'clock at night?
First of all, Your Honor, his mother was braiding my hair. When she heard me on the phone speaking to Beverly and heard Micah's name, she asked me what's going on. I told her Beverly thought Micah had chicken pox. She said in the background, Micah already had chicken pox. He doesn't have chicken pox. Okay? And she also said Beverly later told me that her children had already had chicken pox, and so that wasn't the issue. Her issue was that I didn't come right away. I didn't come right away, Your Honor, because I wasn't concerned, because I knew that he didn't have chicken pox.
But you didn't come right away.
I didn't come right away because I wasn't at home.
All right, let's go a little bit further. There came a time when you came back to the house after you had gotten Micah. Micah was now out of her home, and the police were called. Did you contact the police?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why did you contact
Your
the
Honor,
police?
When I picked Micah up, I got home, and I got a phone call. You better come get your MFSH. I've thrown it on the front lawn, and you better come before them come and get your stuff. So I immediately, I just jumped up. I went over to the house. I pull up.
Who did you go? Who did you go with?
I went with my daughter. My daughter came with me.
Okay, so you went over there with your daughter.
Yes. And so I pulled up, and she lives, there's
Where's
a house.
Where's Micah?
He was at home
With
my
whom?
father. Okay. I pull up into the, she has a long driveway. There's a house in front, and then her house is in the back. So I pull up into the driveway. There are no clothes on the lawn. I knocked on the door, and I said, Beverly, give me my stuff, please. Because at this point, she had gone so...
Okay, so she didn't give you your stuff. I wanted to, so the police, you left the house and called the police?
No, I didn't. I sat in the driveway because when I got to the door, she said, I'm not giving you, she said, you know, I'm not, and she slammed the door. So, and then she opened it again. And so I sat there and
You went inside and got the radio at some point?
No, that was earlier. I didn't get the radio and bring it out of her house at all because she got it before I got out of her house. Okay. And I didn't break anything on it.
Just a second. Why did you grab the radio?
Because, Your Honor, Beverly is the kind of person...
No, I don't want to hear what kind of person she is. I want you to tell me why you grabbed the stereo out of her wall socket and started to walk out with it.
Because she owed me money. She told me when she came earlier that day, when she brought Micah, I'll give it to you when you come and pick Micah up. When I got to her house, she just pretty much nonchalantly said, look, I don't have your money. And I'm not giving it to you. Don't worry about whatever. You'll get it when you get it. I was upset at her, and I did pick the radio up. And I was going to walk out of the door with it and told her, well, I'll give you your radio back when you give me the $35. $35 for some jeans. And she snatched the radio back from me. And
okay,
that's
so
when I
now we
left
got
her
the
house.
radio. Now we got the radio. When did you call the police? When you were sitting
Okay.
outside?
Right. I was
sitting outside, the police arrive. Police arrive, and you get your clothes.
Yes.
All right. And then you left?
Yes.
With your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. So you had nothing to do with scratching up her whole car? All right. Opportunity, motive, and inclination. Those are the things that I have to deal with.
Okay, Your Honor.
I'm speaking. Clearly, you were very angry that day. And you were angry enough to call the police involving your best friend. You were angry enough to grab a radio from out of her house. And who else would have the opportunity, the inclination, and the motivation to do it, but either you or your daughter, because you were angry. You were angry because she said, I'm not giving you back $35, which is really something that she probably said out of anger, because she was put out by the fact that she felt as if you and your daughter had placed her children in jeopardy, even if it was not a real threat, even if he did not have chickenpox. But clearly the child told her that he had. So based upon that, put your hand down. You don't seem to be losing yet, right? The estimate for repainting this car is $580, and I'm awarding that to the plaintiff. That's all.
On the calendar in the matter of Klein versus Collier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Klein, the defendant is your former fiancé who you claim owes you for a car loan.
Yes.
A loan which was taken out in your name. He signed a note, according to you. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
He was paying the note, I assume, for a period of time, and then
Yes,
when
he
you
did.
broke up, he stopped paying the car loan. You want that. In addition, you want some miscellaneous expenses that you had to incur in order to get him out of your apartment. The defendant, Mr. Collier, says that you have the engagement ring worth $3,000, you have his motorcycle worth some more money, and that you agreed that when you separated, it would be sort of a clean slate and there wouldn't be any debts. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start with the car loan. You acknowledge the loan.
Yes.
How much is left on the loan?
$4,800 and some change.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So you tell me, Mr. Collier, why you believe you are not responsible for this loan.
Well, I felt, Mrs. Judge Judy, that when we got engaged February 8th and that everything was going good, and that Wednesday, for some reason, she starts freaking out, calling my gym, seeing if I'm at the gym or not. And so I come home and say, what's going on? She goes, I just want to believe that you really love me. And I said, well, Christine, why did you take the ring and start acting like this? Then that Thursday, she went through my cell phone bill, called a couple of friends, asked if we had sexual relationships. And, you know, they said no. One told her yeah, and said that, you know, we did 3 times, and I tried to tell her we didn't. I don't, you know, and the girl goes to my gym. So then I said, you know, we can't do this anymore. Let's get our own, I'll get my own apartment, I'll move out. She agreed with that. She actually was going to sign for me to get the apartment because we didn't know if I would be able to get it in my name. We went out and looked that day. They turned me down when they saw my credit. Then we went through another week.
And were you still living together?
Yeah, we're still together. She asked me to stay away from home as much as I can. So I said, okay, no problem. I will stay at the gym as long as I could. Come home, I was sleeping on the sofa. So then we went through that week. The 21st came up. We went to a Laker game together. Having fun, drinking. Everything was going good still. I think, okay, I'll get my own apartment. We'll try to make it work. If we can't, we can't. That Saturday, we both get up to go to the gym. She goes, her gym, I go to my gym. She goes, are you going to take the dogs for a walk? I said, yeah, I am. She goes, well, I'll go with you guys. We went for a walk. I went off to the gym. I said, I'll be home at 12. We'll go look for an apartment. I get home. There was 2 officers there with my stuff outside. I didn't know what to say. And I just stood there. And then they said, you have an hour to get it out of here. And then when we talked about me moving in the first place.
Don't go back. Don't go
Okay.
backwards.
Well, I'm
Mr.
just
Collier,
saying-
don't go backwards. Just
Okay.
go forwards.
Okay.
So we are now, your stuff is in a U-Haul.
Right.
Okay, good. Where's the engagement ring?
I exchanged it for earrings because it was on my credit card. I was solely
It was
responsible
on
to
my
pay
credit
for
card.
it.
I have the receipt right here, ma'am.
Yeah, but it's under my name. I'm paying for it. And he actually had the nerve to ask for me to give him the ring back so he could pawn it for money to move out. So I'll pay for my ring twice.
1 second. He signed for it.
Right, because he had a credit card on my account. My mistake.
Is this her credit card, sir?
It was, well, I was on there, yes.
This is her credit card.
It's, yeah.
Listen to me. I have a question
It's
for you,
my-
Mr.
okay, go
Shh. It's her credit card. She gave you an additional card as an additional card holder.
Right.
When was the engagement ring purchased?
February 8th.
March 1st. Did you make a payment on the credit card?
No, I didn't.
There you go. Who did you expect to pay the credit card bill?
Well, I was going to pay the credit. Christine.
But you didn't.
But Judge Judy.
So right now, so listen to me, sir.
Okay.
Your defense to this $4,800 car loan is that she kept the engagement ring. That's
Right.
one. But she's paying for the engagement ring.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
So you don't get a credit for that, sir.
But
you
we
understand?
took-
You don't get a credit for the thought. You get a credit for the money. It was nice of you to buy it, but you also have to pay for it. You didn't pay for it, you don't get it back. Clear?
Yes.
What's the next thing? The next thing you wrote down here is, shouldn't have to pay for something because she has your motorcycle. Tell me about the motorcycle.
Motorcycle, she signed for it. For 4 months, I made payments on the bike.
Hold on.
And insurance.
Hold on a second. Motorcycle, purchased when?
10/12/2002.
How much was it purchased for?
With tax and license, I don't know, 13, 12, something.
$13, $12 or
$1,000.
Let's say $12,000.
$12,000.
She took out the loan for it.
She didn't take out any loans on it. She just signed for it. I made all the payments on it.
Shh, listen to me carefully. You made 4 payments on it, you said.
Yes.
Listen to me carefully. Shh. I want you to be quiet. Okay. Trying to get a point across to him. You made 4 payments on it.
Yes.
Each payment was how much?
$250 plus with insurance.
I'm just talking about the payments.
$200 for the payments.
$200 for the payments. So you made a total of $800. Miss Klein, I want you to be quiet. I want you to stand still and just be quiet. So you made $800 in payments.
Yes.
On a $12,000 motorcycle.
Right.
She has the motorcycle.
Yeah, I don't know where it is now.
She has it.
Yes.
You don't know where it is.
No.
You don't have it.
No.
Who is obligated to pay the $12,000 for the bicycle, you or Miss Klein?
Miss Klein.
So she has back the ring, which she made into earrings, because she doesn't want your ring, but she's paying for it. So that's not a credit towards the $4,800 you owe her for the car. She has the motorcycle, which she is obligated to pay $12,000 for, because she signed for it, and you made 4 payments of $200 each, and I assume you drove the motorcycle for 4 months. Is that right?
Well, when it was nice out.
I don't care whether you drove it in the rain or in a blizzard, sir.
Well,
you had it.
I rode it.
You had it. You rode it. You used it. You paid $200 a month for the use of it, right? Forget it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She changed her mind.
She changed her mind. But then she filed this claim
just a
saying that
second.
she asked me for the money.
She changed her mind, sir. She decided that you weren't as good as she thought you were.
And later today,
She was a friend of yours, and she said, you can come and stay in my house, take care of my dog. While you were there, babysitting for the house and the dog ate your dentures.
Yes.
Right?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christine Klein says ex-fiancé Ricky Collier owes for an unpaid car loan. She also says she's keeping the engagement ring because she's the one who paid for it.
Why else don't you owe her for the car loan, sir?
Because we had an agreement that if I go on my own, she knew that I couldn't afford an apartment on my own, that she would take the loss on all the bills that we had together.
Why would she do that for
But
you?
that's what she said. And I said, are you sure you want to do that, Christine? She said, yes, I'll get another loan to pay off everything. That's what she said to me.
Well, why would somebody want to do that for you, Mr. Collier?
Judge Judy, that's what she said to me. I talked to her and I said, Christine, are you sure you want to do that?
She changed her mind.
She changed her mind. I totally
That's what
understand
women do.
Yeah,
That's what women do. They change their mind.
I understand that.
She decided you weren't
and
as
then
good
she
as she
goes to
thought. I'm
court,
speaking.
But then she files this claim
just a
saying that
second.
she asked me for the money. And
Listen to me.
we haven't talked since the 21st.
Mr. Collier, didn't you notice my mouth moving, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Judge Judy.
She changed her mind, sir. She decided that you weren't as good as she thought you were. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
She wants her money back. Miss Klein, I know that you want to get into how you had to get bodyguards and hire people to get him out of your apartment. That's not my problem. Don't visit it on me. Visit on me only the fact that he owes you $4,800 for the car. Now, you both agree that that's what's left on the loan? Is that right?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,800. Thank you very much. Go have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm clueless as to why he's clueless, as to why he was kicked out when he was abusing me back since July of last year.
She probably felt like I was going to get angry if she kicked me out.
He's a master manipulator and an abuser, and I fell into the trap.
Because I have the tendency to get angry.
I'm just glad to be free and away from him at this point.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romine versus Gauthier. Step forward, please.
Child care provider Karen Romine is suing her former friend, realtor Dolores Gauthier, for the cost of her dentures. Karen says, while pet sitting for Dolores, her dog ate them.
Miss Romaine, you were house sitting for the defendant and pet sitting, is that right?
Yes, I was.
Had you done that before?
No.
Were you doing it as a neighbor, as a friend, or were you being paid?
As a friend. I think she was trying to get me out of the house where my daughter and I were sharing a house, and I had 4 grandkids then. Kind of for sanity ways. let
And
me-
what?
For my own mental.
For your sanity. So she was a friend of yours, and she said, you can come and stay in my house, take care of my dog, take care of my house while I'm on vacation, give you a little bit of a break. Is that right?
Yes.
And your complaint is that while you were there babysitting for the house and the dog ate your dentures.
Yes.
Right? Shh. And these dentures you had placed up on counter.
Yes.
Dog jumped up and chewed them. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Romaine, whose fault is that?
I guess it could be mine. I thought the counter was high enough where the dog couldn't reach him.
When you say, I guess it could be mine, she was on vacation, right?
Yes.
So it couldn't be hers. You can't sue the dog. So what are we doing here?
Well, I thought it would be her responsibility since I was watching the dog. Yeah, and
No, you're supposed to take responsibility for your own actions. Mr. Romaine, you answered right the first time, which is what surprised me about your lawsuit to begin with. She's on vacation. You agree to watch the dog. You're watching the dog, and you were supposed to watch and take care of your own property. The fact that you miscalculated and let the dog get a hold of your property and destroyed it doesn't make her responsible. Makes you responsible. So you got to take care of your own business, right?
You're right.
Perfect. Good. Then we don't have to bother each other any further. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It went well?
It was quick.
I came home from vacation and she showed me a baggie with her teeth in them.
Your dog ate my teeth.
Well, I felt bad, but I felt she was negligent.
We're still friends.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Montgomery versus McCarthy, step forward, please.
25-year-old student Brandy Montgomery is suing small business owner Caitlin McCarthy for having her falsely arrested. Caitlin says Brandy charged at her swinging a keychain.
Well, quite frankly, I read both your complaint and answer in this case, and I really am quite confused. The best I can come up with is that, Miss Montgomery, it is your claim that the defendant filed a false police report and had you arrested for assault. Yes. Those charges were ultimately dismissed. You say they were false to begin with. Ms. McCarthy says that you did, in fact, hit her with a set of keys. Is that
Yes.
right? How do you know each other? I couldn't even figure that out from the papers.
Ma'am, her friend was my roommate, and that's how we met.
Now, you say it was a friend of your roommate. Who's your roommate?
Our roommate was Dakota. Her name was Dakota.
She lived with you and your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Until when?
That day she was moving out was that day. The reason she was moving out is because we were not getting along. So she had decided to move out, and we were moving out a couple days after that.
Go ahead.
I had met her once when I first moved in with Dakota, which was the roommate, and then again on the day of the incident.
All right, well, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the day of the incident, which was when?
It was on July 28th. I have a police report right here. Would you like?
I'd like to see it. Come on, start talking.
Sorry. My husband and I got home from picking him up from work. We go downstairs to where we live, which is like a 2-story condo type place. We go downstairs. I decide to go to the store, so I go back up. So I go upstairs. I saw the defendant in the driveway. I walk past her. I do not say any words to her. I get in my car. I drive away. I go to the store. I come back from the store, and there's sheriffs. There's about 4 sheriff cars in the driveway. I park my car, walk towards my driveway. I get arrested.
And that's all you know?
That's all I know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 25-year-old student Brandy Montgomery is suing small business owner Caitlin McCarthy for having her falsely arrested. Caitlin says Brandy charged at her swinging a keychain.
All right, Miss McCarthy, now I'll hear you.
Judge, I didn't know either Dakota except for that day. I have never met the plaintiff before the day of incident. I was asked by a friend to come and help her move. She said she needed to move very quickly because there was some back rent due. The landlord wanted the money and she didn't have it.
Who's the friend?
The friend is Beverly. She lives in Nevada, but she had introduced us.
Beverly, but nobody connected with the plaintiff.
No, I don't know any of these people.
Beverly is somebody that is not involved in this case other than the fact that Beverly asked you to go and move Dakota.
Correct. That's correct.
So you were actually in the plaintiff's apartment,
yes, ma'am,
helping Dakota move.
Yes.
Oh, well, now I understand.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We had moved for a couple of hours, been packing boxes. In fact, the plaintiff did come with her husband back to the house while we were moving. So I'm helping her move, and I was in the kitchen, I was packing things, kitchen items, and Brandy walked in with her husband. They were very agitated, started to go through boxes, opening them to see what was in them. I thought, well, she might be afraid that something was being taken, right?
Right.
She came over to me where I was packing, and she bumped into me, knocked me into the box that I was packing. She was very aggressive, and she opened up the box, started to dig through.
Did you say anything to her? Did she say anything to you? Did
Not
she
a thing. She didn't even say, I'm Brandy. She didn't say anything. She just did this act. I saw the agitation. I was in damage control. I thought, I don't know what's going on with these two, but I'm just going to let her look. I did. She went out, went away. A few minutes later, I went out to the garage. I went to get another box. Upon returning...
And you were doing this as a favor to Beverly?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Well, she's a very good friend of mine, and I just...
And how did she know Dakota?
I have no idea how they met, but I had something to do with their work. And she didn't have anybody there. That was the thing. She had no family, no friends. She hadn't been there very long. And so Beverly said, this girl needs help. She needs to move out today because she had surrendered the property to the landlords for non-payment. So I went over to help. She had hired some other help as well. So we were all moving, and this incident took place. I went out to the garage. I came back from the garage with a box in my hand, and Brandy stood in front of me, blocking my path to the kitchen. I didn't know what her reason to confront me was, since I didn't know her or what was going on.
Did you say anything to her?
I didn't say anything to her first. She said something to me.
What did she say?
Well, she was swinging her keys, and she had a hand on her hip and was very agitated with me, and I didn't know why. And she said, I'm not moving, and there's not a thing you can do about it. I don't know why that would matter to me, whether she moved or didn't. I was there to help Dakota get out, and I didn't know what all these incidences were between them. I said to her, well, whatever, but you need to let me pass so we can move. I went ahead and started to move, and she was swinging her keys. She advanced on me, and the key came right to my face as she was swinging it. All I did was pull my face back, and it just grazed my chin. I decided that was pretty aggressive for me. I didn't know whether, it was going to escalate.
Aggressive?
So I went and I called the police on my cell phone.
Okay, back to you.
These are the keys, ma'am. If I swung these keys around and hit somebody with them, they would leave a pretty giant mark.
Not necessarily. I believe her. I have to make a judgment.
Correct.
She tells a very simplistic story. Can you think of a reason, Miss Montgomery, that Miss McCarthy, you didn't know her, according to both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Think of a reason why she would call the police on you.
She knew that Dakota and I had gotten into it, and the police had already been out to the house 2 prior times between me and my roommate. Yes. And the police had told us that if they came out again, that somebody would be arrested. So I believe that she did it in spite to get me arrested, to prove a point to me, because my roommate said I owed her money for back rent.
What did she have to do with that?
Ma'am, I did not swing keys.
Yes, you did. Sure you did.
Yes, you did.
Sure you did. You were angry. You had a fight. You didn't know who she was. She was helping your roommate. You swung keys. You didn't injure her. You didn't hurt her, but you had an absolute right to call the police. Grow up. Case dismissed.
Thank you.
Versus Mosier. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Kirtley, the defendant is your former husband, and according to what I've read, I believe that the two of you were divorced in 1991. Is that right?
Yes.
And you have a 15-year-old son. Ms. Kirtley, your lawsuit is about lawyers' fees. You believe that your former husband should pay for your legal fees when there was some support dispute between the two of you. You also want certain personal property that was your son's that was at the defendant's home because your son is now living with you.
Yes.
Mr. Mosier says he paid for his lawyer, you pay for yours, and whatever property is at his house, he purchased, and he will keep in his house for visits, for if his son ever comes back to stay there. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I need a sort of a time frame. In 1991, your son was quite young. Who did he live with?
He lived with me.
Until when?
Until December of 1998.
What happened in 1998?
In 1998, my son's been having some difficulties as he's grown up. And in December of 1998...
You mean behavior problems?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. December 1998, we checked into some residential treatment centers, and our insurance would not pay for those. So at that time, we decided with Mr. Mosier and his wife that my son would go up there, up to Maryland to live with him.
And where were you living?
I live in Virginia.
Okay.
During this time, my son was admitted into residential treatment center.
Where was the treatment program?
In Maryland.
How far from his father?
Approximately 15 minutes.
How often did he go to his father's?
To his father's house. Very rarely did he go to his father's house.
Okay. Now, what was this lawsuit about?
The lawsuit, Mr. Mosier, he asked for back child support.
When did he ask for back child support?
In November of 2001. So he asked for back child support when my son was in residential treatment, which I had told him when he gets out full time that I will pay him my $100 a month that we agreed to.
Okay. Was there a court order for $100 a month?
Yes, sir.
So there's a court order for $100 a month that you pay him $100 a month child support?
Yes.
Was that order ever terminated when your son went into residential treatment?
No, ma'am. We had a verbal agreement.
The order was not terminated?
No, ma'am.
Tell me about this verbal agreement that said that you didn't have to pay child support anymore.
At the treatment center when my son went in, me, myself, and my husband and Mr. Mosier stood out in the parking lot, and we decided that since he was in residential treatment and that neither one of us really had custody because he was a ward to the state, that the support would stop.
Is that right, sir?
Not in exactly them words.
Was it close?
It was similar, but not exact. Mrs. Kirtley is very persistent on everything that she does. So I've learned to not fight with her on anything that she says. So,
well, tell me about the conversation, Mr. Mosier.
She said that she was not going to pay during the time that he was in residential. I was definitely not in agreement to that, but there's nothing I can do if she stops paying it anyway.
Well, what did she say? What did you say?
She said that she wasn't going to pay it. And I said, well, whatever. I mean, if she misinterpreted that as me saying, well, okay, well, you can do what you want to, that's certainly not the case.
So tell me about this support proceeding that you started, sir. Why did you start it?
My son was in residential. He was in a program next to my home. It was like maybe 10 minutes away. It was only about 8 miles, 10 miles. He was actually going to be transitioned home. And,
when? Starting when?
Starting, I believe it was in September is when they contacted me of 2001 and said that he was going to start transitioning home and that it would take several months for him to transition. It's a slow process that they send you back into your home.
Okay.
But at that point, he was starting to come to my home 2 and 3 times a week and then spending the night and then going back. And then we did alternating weekends between his mother and I.
Okay.
But certainly at that time, that's when I contacted the Department of Social Services Child Enforcement Division for the child support. And they told me that I needed to, at that point, since he was in residential, it was a case to where it was a little bit iffy, so that I had to have an attorney go through the courts for them to make a ruling on her to continue to pay the child support. At that time, I asked Mrs. Kirtley if she would start paying child support again, because certainly he was spending more time in my home. And I needed more money to support. And she said, no, I'm not going to pay you child support until he is totally out of there. I already told you that.
Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am. I told him that...
Is that what happened? So he said to you, a child is spending more time with me now. Could you please start paying the child support again? You said no.
Yes.
And so he took you to court?
Yes.
Well, then you have a problem, Miss Kirtley, because you have an order of support that had never been formally modified. $100 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is less than $20 a week, which isn't a lot of support. But even if there was a period of time when he claimed he forgave the child support when the child wasn't coming home, once he says to you, I want you to begin to pay the child support again, you say no. He's got an absolute right to go to court. Why should he pay your attorney?
Well, my son was ward to the state at this time. Neither one, myself nor Mr. Mosier, had custody of my son.
When a child is a ward of the state, that means that the public is paying for your child's support.
Yes, ma'am.
That means that both of you should have been contributing to the residential treatment center. That's what we do in New York State. We sue both parents for the support of a child who is in residential treatment, because as between you and the public, you're supposed to pay. Neither one of you is supposed to get off scot-free while the rest of us pay for your child. We have our own children to pay for. You pay for yours.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today...
Words got said and she had ended up pushing me, and when I fell back, I hit my finger on it and it broke my finger.
What'd you get into an argument about?
I don't remember exactly because I was drinking.
So you don't remember what you were arguing about?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Kirtley says ex-husband Thomas Mosier owes for attorney fees as a result of their child support case. Thomas says he paid for his attorney and she should pay for hers.
In any event, Ms. Kirtley, he has an absolute right to sue you for this back support. You had an issue. The issue was a legitimate issue. If you chose to hire an attorney, then you hire an attorney. He had an attorney. I assume you paid for your own attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
You pay for your attorney. That's number one. Finished. Next. Next is property. What property do you claim that he has that belongs to your son?
He has a snowboard.
A snowboard?
These were all given as gifts. He has I believe it's a 19-inch TV that was given to him last Christmas. A pair of rollerblades that I paid half on. A CD Walkman with earphones and CD that was given to him as a gift. But that's basically what's at the house.
Okay, so those things. Do you have those things?
Yes, Your Honor, not all of them.
What is it that you have?
I have the snowboard.
Was that a gift?
Yes, it was.
To whom?
It was a gift to Justin from us. And
Fine, then he has to get it back.
Right, that's fine. I don't have a dispute.
Next.
The TV is a 13-inch TV, not a 19-inch TV.
Was that a gift?
And it was a gift, and he can have it.
Fine. What's next?
My point is, she never asked for any of this till now.
Fine.
But I don't have a problem with that. Right, Your Honor, may I ask something of
yes.
you? Since she never asked me for any of this previous to this, is there any way that you can order? I don't have a problem with her coming and getting them.
Right.
But why should I have to drive down there and drop them off?
No, you shouldn't have to.
Right.
Do you have a house that you can pack them up and put them on the porch or something?
Well, actually, I can contact her. She can contact me. I'll get along with her fine. As long as she meets me at a mutual point right off the Beltway where she can pick him up, that's fine.
5 days from today.
That's fine.
What time? 12 noon?
Absolutely.
Satisfactory?
Yes.
Fine, very good. Do you visit with your son? Does he visit with you?
No, he chooses not to. I've tried to contact him, but he refuses my calls.
Okay, well, he'll come around.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I need some help with my son.
I tried my best to do what I can for my son.
My son is very aggressive.
He certainly doesn't want me in his life right now.
He needs his father. He is a 15-year-old boy.
He's denied my phone calls.
I'm not sure what else that I can do right at this point.
Maybe someday he'll give me a call.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jeffrey versus Swinney. Step forward.
26-year-old accounting clerk Angel Jeffrey is suing her former roommate, 27-year-old customer service rep Debbie Swinney, for unpaid rent and for the return of her belongings. Debbie is countersuing for medical bills as the result of Angel breaking her finger.
Miss Jeffrey, I've read your complaint very carefully, and it is your allegation that the defendant, who was a former friend of yours, owes you for 9 months' rent in an apartment that you moved into together, and she decided to leave after 3 months. You also claim that she took some property when she moved out. Miss Swinney says that she couldn't live with you because things got to be a little hairy, and that you were responsible for her breaking her little finger after an argument. She wants you to pay her medical bills, which amount to some $400. She also says that there was never an intention on the part of both of you that she was going to live there permanently. That's why the lease to the apartment was in your name. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Miss Jeffrey, how long did you know her before you decided to move in together?
Almost 16 years.
Oh, that's a long time. Where were you living prior to you moving in together?
I lived with my mother. She lived with her mom.
Now, what was your arrangement when you found this apartment?
We had discussed getting an apartment together because neither one of us could live with our parents anymore. We couldn't afford a 2-bedroom, so we decided to get a 1-bedroom. We went and looked at an apartment and spoke with the apartment manager, and because Debbie had been evicted before and I didn't have enough money to make the 3 times the amount of the rent, she suggested that she put me on because I had good rental history and used Debbie's income to qualify for the apartment.
Is that what you did?
Yes, we did.
Is that right?
I don't think my income was on, I don't think any of my information was even on the lease.
On the lease application we're talking about.
Well, on the agreement, the total.
I'm not talking about the agreement, on the application.
The lease, the typed up lease at the apartment thing. I don't think my...
Pay careful attention to what I'm saying. You keep saying lease and I keep saying application.
Well, I didn't fill out an application.
When you filled out the application, how much money did you indicate that you earned?
I earned about $800 a month.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
$475.
And how much did you put down on the application for the lease that you earned?
It was about $1,800 combined.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we moved into the apartment, and about 2.5 months later, she told me that she was looking for another apartment.
Did she say why?
No, she didn't tell me why.
Had you been getting along?
As far as I know, I didn't think there was any problems.
Now, this is a 1-bedroom apartment. Where did you sleep?
I had my bed in the bedroom. Debbie didn't have a bed. We borrowed a bed from my witness, and we used it in the living room as a couch, and that's where Debbie slept until she could get another bed to put in the bedroom.
Was that what you were going to do?
Another bed wouldn't fit in the bedroom, but I just stayed in the living room, and I was going to stay in the living room if I had stayed in the apartment. So
Did you pay the same rent?
Yes, we did.
half the rent, yes, ma'am.
Did she pay the first month's rent that you were there?
Yes, she did.
Second month?
Yes, she did.
Third month?
We actually lived there 2.5 months. We paid a half a month when we moved in. She did pay that. She paid August and September, and that was it.
Are you still living there?
No, I just moved out. I had to break the lease.
How much did it cost you to break the lease?
$878.
Okay. $878 is not $2,400.
Correct. And when I had originally filed the suit, I was planning on staying in the apartment. However, with my income, I couldn't afford it.
Okay, so you had to pay $878 to get out of the lease.
Correct.
All right. So at this point, you want to modify your claim for half of that. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what about the property that she took?
When she moved out, she had some of my clothing and some pictures that we had taken on our vacation, and I asked her to return them to me, and she gave me dates and times that she was going to come, and she never showed up.
Where's her stuff?
I did. I have it. I still have it, and she can have it back. I don't.
Well, why didn't you give it back to her?
It's just because I was working overtime and didn't have the time to meet her nowhere.
Why did you take it from the apartment to
Well,
begin with?
the clothes that I had was a pair of wind pants and 2 shirts, and it was in my dirty laundry. And it was at my mom's house whenever I had moved out, because that's where I did my laundry at. And then the pictures I had in my car. So, and the mailbox key I had on me.
So you're going to return all those things to her?
I will.
5 days. I'll prepare an order.
Okay.
Where are you living now, by the way?
I got my own apartment.
How much are you paying in rent?
$550 a month.
How come you left the apartment? Just curious.
Well, after we went to California and we got into an argument and my finger got broke, I didn't feel, that she was really my friend. She never once apologized, and I just didn't feel comfortable.
Well, that's your counterclaim. Why don't you tell me about it?
Well, first of all, we went to California, and I think mainly the only reason why I went is so she didn't have to ride in the plane by herself and drive. So I went, and after the wedding, we had went to a
What
club.
wedding?
It was Mary's wedding. That's why we went. And
is that a mutual friend of yours?
Well, yeah, she's Angel's friend.
Okay, go ahead.
We went to the club and went out, and we were drinking, so we were intoxicated or whatever. And
both of you?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Both of us.
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Well, we were both drinking. And afterwards, we had gotten into an argument, and we were going to leave the club. She wanted to leave.
What would you get into an argument about?
It was over dancing. I don't remember exactly because I was drinking.
So you don't remember what you were arguing about?
Well, it was over dancing, but I don't remember exactly what, words were said and stuff.
Go ahead.
So Angel wanted to leave, and after we went outside the club, words got said, and she had ended up pushing me. And when I fell back, I hit my finger. They had some concrete things out there. I hit my finger on it, and it broke my finger. So, and then she never once apologized. The whole way back on the plane, after we were back, she never said she was sorry.
Okay, and you had some medical bills. What were your medical bills?
Well, I have insurance, so the insurance paid most of it, but I still have my portion of the emergency room, and then when I got back, I had to see an orthopedic surgeon. My co-payments were $15. I went 3 times.
So how much were your out-of-pocket expenses?
For the emergency room, for all bills together, was $285.17.
You want to tell me about this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
With her finger?
We were at the club, like she said, and we were sitting outside talking, and Debbie wanted to go dance, and she wanted me to go with her, and I was talking with some other people, and I told her, go on, and I'll be out there in a minute, and she got mad, said she didn't want to go alone, and I told her she wasn't alone. There was other people out there, and
other people out
on the dance floor, and she had said, I want you to come out there with me because you're going to leave me here. And I said, what makes you think I'm going to leave you here? We came from Texas to California. I wouldn't leave you. And so then she started getting mouthy and cussing at me, and that's when I said, let's go, because I didn't want to make a big scene. We got outside the club, and she was up in my face and cussing at me, and I asked her 3 times to please back away from me. She didn't. I pushed her.
And she fell?
She didn't fall, no.
What happened?
I guess when she stumbled back to catch her fall, she threw her hands up in the air. I don't know if she hit her finger on a trash can or anything like that. All I know is later on the night she was complaining her finger hurt. So the next day we took her to the emergency room.
You think that's when she hurt her finger?
Yes.
You feel any responsibility with regard to that?
No, I don't.
You put your hands on her?
Yes, but she provoked it by screaming and yelling and cussing at me.
Sticks and stones break your bones. Names will never hurt me. Very unfortunate. She didn't mean to hurt you, right? But she's responsible because she put her hands on you. You're not allowed to put your hands on somebody else. Period. Discussion. Your out-of-pocket medical expenses are $285. You probably did open up your mouth, and you probably got a little out of control. That doesn't give her the right to put her hands on you. So she's going to be responsible for your out-of-pocket medical bills, which are $285. Now, you owed her $439 for half of the expense that she incurred when she had to break the lease because you left. And I believe that there was an arrangement between the two of you that you were going to spend 12 months in this apartment. I also think that you don't have to stay in the apartment with somebody who didn't do the right thing with regard to your broken pinky. So I have what?
I also have utility bills and stuff that she never paid.
I have deducted $285 from the $439, and that leaves $154 if that's what you're entitled to. With regard to the property is to be returned within 5 days, the property that you took by accident. That's all.
Parties are excused. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Kidd, you and Mr. Thorpe lived together for 9 years, according to your complaint, and you have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
Well over a year ago, Mr. Thorpe, according to you, was involved in an accident. He was drunk, and he had a bad accident, and he totaled your car.
Yes, ma'am.
You want him to be responsible for the insurance deductible, which you were ultimately charged. Mr. Thorpe was in the hospital for a substantial period of time after the accident. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
In addition, since you separated shortly after the accident, which was well over a year ago, you say that he took a car collection, not a real car collection, a miniature car collection, that belonged to both of you, and you want half the value of that.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the case is about. Mr. Thorpe says that for a variety of reasons, you're even. So let's get the facts that we can agree on first. Mr. Thorpe, you were driving the plaintiff's car, you were drunk, you were in an accident, and there was an insurance deductible. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
And what was the deductible?
I believe $440.
Is that right?
No, ma'am, it's $455.
So why shouldn't you pay that?
Well, Your Honor, I have a outstanding cable bill here for $414.39 that I had left in her name after we had separated, and asked her to pay that when she had told me that it was not in her name and that it was not her problem.
When did you separate? What month?
I believe it was November.
And when was that bill?
It was for 4 months after I had moved out.
4 months after?
After I had moved out.
Is that right?
Yes.
Why didn't you pay that bill?
Ma'am, it was for a box that I turned in. I did not bring the paperwork with me. They said I did not turn it in. And I did turn it in. So, and I did pay my last month's bill there.
You have proof that you paid that bill?
Not with me, ma'am. I did not know he was going to counterclaim on this.
You didn't? Well, did he file a counterclaim?
No, ma'am.
How come you didn't file a counterclaim, Mr. Thorpe?
I did not have time, Your Honor.
Well, then that's too bad. Then I'm not going to hear that. Because if she didn't have notice of it, Mr. Thorpe, then what happens is she doesn't have the opportunity to bring her evidence.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, so fine. So $455 is what you owe so far for the insurance deductible. Now, she also says that you owe her additional money for this NASCAR collection. So I'd like you to tell me about that, Miss Kidd.
Well, we've acquired this NASCAR collection. What had happened is on his 30th birthday, I had planned a surprise party for him, and I had bought him one. And after that, that's when we started to collect them. I wasn't really into it at first, but with us being together, I got into it more and more. And whenever we went shopping, we'd pick cars that both of us would, whether it be at the local Walmart or at the race.
So when he left, he took the collection?
Yes, ma'am.
You were together for 9 years. When the two of you separated, Miss Kidd, what else did he take with him?
Well, he took a pool table, a pickup truck that we had bought together, a fishing boat, a stereo receiver, DVD player, a theater system, like the surround sound system, tools, and miscellaneous videos and DVDs.
And what did he leave? Let me go through this, because you're going to probably say he didn't leave much. Did he leave the living room furniture?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he leave the bedroom furniture?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he leave your daughter's furniture?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he leave the kitchen furniture?
Yes.
Did he leave the washer-dryer?
Yes, ma'am.
So he left a lot of stuff. He left more stuff than he took. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
He left, really, it sounds to me, like he left you in a situation where you would be comfortable with your child.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
You didn't expect him to walk out of a 9-year relationship with nothing.
No, ma'am, and I didn't. And I explained that to him. But the items I have, they're not like items that we had, they're not new. A lot of these things we bought, like the NASCAR collection, that didn't start within when we first started dating.
What difference does it make?
Well, I'm just saying...
The difference is, Miss Kidd, is that wherever Mr. Thorpe went, and I don't know where he went after he left, where did you go?
I'm living with my mother at the time, Your Honor.
Okay. But if he had to go and start to furnish an apartment, he would need a living room set, and a bedroom set, and a place for his daughter to come and spend time with him, and he'd need a kitchen table, and he'd need a washer-dryer, which means he'd have to go out and buy that stuff. What makes you think you're entitled to this NASCAR set?
Because when he moved out, he wasn't, he really wasn't keeping up on his child support.
That's a different story.
He's been behind on, I know it is, he's been behind on his child support. I like to keep extra money in the bank, so if something, I have Crohn's disease. And if I have to go to the hospital, I'm not there for overnight, I'm there for at least 3 to 5 days because they have to run tests on me. And so I like to try to have a little bit of spare money in the bank, so if I have to pay rent, I will have enough money there.
Is he currently paying child support?
Yes, ma'am. But he's $2,000 plus in the rears.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want a nice truck to drive too. I also have a truck payment, but I also pay rent for our daughter to live somewhere.
Good. That's supposed to be. You're a parent.
And later today,
You know, the first was the next day. Had to move out.
Did she tell you that?
You know, she called me stupid and everything.
Just a second. Mr. Pulley.
He was on drugs. So.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lorinda Kidd says ex-boyfriend Robert Thorpe Jr. owes for an insurance deductible and for the value of a collection of NASCAR miniatures.
How much do you pay every month, sir?
$670 a month.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a construction.
Okay, so you fell a little behind, but he owes $2,000?
Well, Your Honor.
But he pays almost $700.
Correct, Your Honor, but also he went out and got a brand new truck, at least a brand new truck, and that was one of his complaints as to why he could not give me as much child support before he went to court, is because he had his truck payment, which I understand. I want a nice truck to drive too. I also have a truck payment, but I also pay rent for our daughter to live somewhere. I pay gas, I pay water.
That's what you're supposed to. You're a parent. He owes you $455, and that's for the deductible that you had to pay when he was in an accident with your car. But as far as property is concerned, when people decide to get married so that courts have the opportunity of deciding what equitably belongs to each party, that's what we have courts for. We do not have courts for people who live together. They lived together for 9 years. You kept some stuff, he kept some stuff, and I'm not getting involved. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad that I walked away not losing anything, really.
I think I got cheated. I should have deserved half of that NASCAR collection because I paid for half of it.
I'd like to get along with her and see my child.
Well, he's welcome to see his daughter anytime. He just doesn't come around.
I'm just glad it's over and like to move on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pulley versus Rayford. Step forward, please.
Security guard Dennis Pulley is suing his sister, bus driver Valerie Rayford, for the value of his personal property.
Mr. Pulley, the defendant is your sister, and it is your claim that your sister recklessly disposed of your personal property that was in your mother's apartment after your mother's death. Your sister says she got rid of your property, but she did her best to notify you where you could find it, and she was as careful as she could have been under the circumstances. Where were you living, sir, at the time of your mother's death?
I was living at my mother's place, my mother's apartment.
How long had you been living with your mother?
Maybe 2.5 years, close to 3 years, and I had went into a drug program. I was in there for approximately about 11 months, and then I graduated, and I was staying basically there back and forth with my mother's, but most of my stuff was at my mother's house.
At the time of your mother's death, were you still in the program?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it a residential program?
Yes.
So there would be times when you would get out of the residential program and go and stay with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of your personal property was at your mom's house?
Most of it was there, yes, ma'am.
When did your mother pass away?
It was the end of January. She was buried January the 25th. She passed away 4 or 5 days before then.
Do you have the exact date, Miss Rayford, that your mother passed away?
She passed away on the 25th of January. She was buried on the 31st of January. Can I say something, Your Honor?
Not yet. How long had your mother lived in this apartment? Mr. Pulley?
Your Honor, I'm not sure. When I was dealing with my drug problem, my mom's asked me to come to California because she needed some drug rehabs, that I can go to. So when I came to California, she had been living there. So
How long ago was that?
Maybe 2.5 years ago.
How long had your mother been living in this apartment, Miss Rayford?
She lived there for 5 years approximately.
She had a lease?
Yes, it was low income.
Okay. So, mother passed away on the 25th. She was buried on the 31st.
Yes, ma'am.
From the 25th to the 31st, sir, did you stay in the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Rayford. Now tell me about your brother's property.
Okay, my nephew was staying on a lease with my mother at the apartment. And I phoned my brother's girlfriend because he was all around. I didn't know where he was.
When?
I phoned him on the 31st.
The day your mother was buried?
Yes, and I told him
He didn't come to the funeral?
Yes, he came to the funeral.
Why didn't you speak to him at the funeral?
Well, it was a funeral. We were all, grieving over my mom. So.
Well, you went
But
to
I
the
told
funeral.
him
Did you go someplace after the funeral, after your mother was buried?
The repast was at my house.
Did he come?
Yes, he came to the repast.
So why didn't you discuss it with him then? What you were
I
gonna
did.
do?
I told him that he has to move out by the 1st because, the 1st was the next day. He had to move out.
Did she tell you that?
No, she ain't tell me none of that.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
It's I can't figure it out, man. This is my sister and I love her. It's like, she called me stupid and everything.
Just a second, Mr. Pulley. So you say you told him at your mother's funeral,
yes,
that he had to be out by the next day, by the 1st.
Yes. This is what the landlord had told me, that the property that she said wasn't anyone on the lease, and that my brother is not supposed to be there. And she
He had property there. What did you do with his property?
His property is there. I have the property was there since the 16th. February the 16th. He had until the 16th to remove all of his belongings, and I did not remove it.
Just a second. February 16th?
February 16th. The landlord negotiated with me for him to get time, for him to remove the property, but he was on drugs.
Had you changed the locks?
I didn't change the locks till till he started selling everything out of my mother's house.
And when was that?
That was like maybe the 12th of February.
Was there any property in your mother's house that you began to dispose of, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
When I was there, I gave my other sister, she asked for the VCR. My brother asked for, he wanted a TV and some pictures and some other things. My daughter asked for some things.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Some other people asked for some things.
What
yes,
other
ma'am.
people?
My brother, my sister-in-law, my daughter, and one of the neighbors across the street.
What did you give
my
to the neighbor?
My sister right there. I gave her some of my mom's clothes.
Mr. Pulley, were you put in charge of the disposition of your mother's property?
Well, no, ma'am, I wasn't. I don't believe she left anybody in charge of it.
I have power of attorney. I have proof.
You overstepped your bounds, Mr. Pulley, if you disposed of any of your mother's property. Pay rent on February 1st, Mr. Pulley?
Did I pay rent?
That's my question.
No, ma'am, I never paid. I never had to pay rent living with my mom.
Just a second. Well, your mom was dead, so she wasn't going to pay the rent, Mr. Pulley.
Okay, I understand.
Now, and you knew that your mother was buried on the 31st of January.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you were staying in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was supposed to pay the rent?
Well, I seen the landlord in the hallway, and I asked her, how long do I have before I have to be out of the apartment? She said till the middle of the month. That's what her exact words was, to the middle of the month.
Well, so you didn't remove your things.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Way before then, I left, and when I came back, the locks was changed
Where did
and
you
my
go?
stuff was gone.
What do you mean you left? Where did you
left
go?
out for the day. I came back, and it was gone.
What day did you, Mr. Pulley?
I don't know exactly what day, but I have a paper to show. I went back into the program on the 14th. I have a paper showing the listing that I went back on there. It had to be the 13th that I had went back, and the locks was changed already.
That's what pretty
and
much.
I didn't have any clothes.
That's
yes,
what
ma'am.
your sister said. She said she changed the locks around the 14th, and you had until the 16th to move out. Mr. Pulley, the landlord was giving you a 2-week grace period.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you using drugs the first 2 weeks in February?
No, ma'am. I haven't used since I graduated.
Okay. So you tell me, what arrangements did you make to remove all your property?
already had arrangements. I was going back to the program. They was giving me a place back there because I worked security for the program.
So what arrangements did you make with the program?
I was going to have my stuff took in there and put in storage.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you do it before?
I didn't have, when I came back, my stuff, everything was gone. I couldn't even get in the house.
Talking about the first week in February, sir. While people were there taking stuff, while you were giving your daughter things, you gave your daughter something.
Yes, ma'am.
You gave cousins. You took care of clothes.
My brother, my sister
no,
right there.
I got it. I got it. All right. What did you do with his things, Miss Rayford?
I didn't do anything with his things. My nephew was also on a lease, and his mom is here today. And what he did is set the clothes out. On the 12th, he set the clothes on.
So you didn't do anything. You didn't touch his property.
Exactly.
Did Mr. Pulley? Did your sister tell you that she didn't touch your property?
No, she said she set it out there. Actually, I heard on the phone she was talking to my girlfriend. She said he was stupid and it wasn't nothing but junk anyway, and she set it out there.
That's a lie, Your Honor. It's fabricated.
Whatever.
It's lies.
Whatever. He feels he's hurt. But Miss Rayford, is what you're telling me you were not responsible for putting his things outside?
No, I wasn't, Your Honor.
And that was your nephew? What's your nephew's name?
Ramon.
Was he on the lease with your mother?
Yes, he was.
Had he been living with your mother?
No.
Why was he on the lease with her?
Well, it was a low income, and when he was a minor, he was on a lease with her when he was a minor, and I guess they never changed it.
Was he living with her?
No, he was not living with her.
Okay. Mr. Pulley, your stuff is gone. Miss Rayford says that she did not put it out, that it was your nephew who put it out, your nephew who was on the lease with your mother. I can't find her responsible for that.
Can I say that? Excuse me, I haven't cut you
Sure.
off. My nephew ain't been to that house, and my nephew haven't lived there since he was a teenager. She is the one that got the lock changed, and she the one that, if she didn't personally pick the bag or pick the stuff up and set it out,
Your Honor,
she told him to put the stuff out.
Mr. Pulley.
Yes, ma'am.
When somebody dies, and your mother died, and I assume that you had she was some comfort to you. You had a drug problem for a long time. She was at least somebody who said, I'll help you,
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds to me as if she didn't give up on you. So you have a feeling of sadness. And I'm sure that your sister not only feels sad that your mother died, but I'm sure she's a little bit, I'm sure aside from loving you, she also feels disappointed that you were a source of sadness for your mother. There are lots of mixed emotions that go on in a family when somebody dies. But it sounds to me like you have a very nice family, and it's just clothes and things. So don't let it interfere with your family permanently, Mr. Pulley.
Your Honor, can I say this before I go?
Sure.
I just want to say she can fool you, but she can't fool God. She set the stuff out. She know what she did, and like I said.
Mr. Pulley, you have to also look to yourself for a certain amount of responsibility. You had a responsibility to get your stuff together and move it out. The landlord gave you an outside date, was being nice to you. So you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't let it interfere with your family.
Sản phẩm mình đang cầm trên tay đây là viên uống tấm đường EQ. Và cái công dụng của tấm đường QE mang lại đó là sẽ giúp tăng cường cái chuyển hóa năng lượng đường ở trong máu, hỗ trợ cải thiện cái chỉ số đường huyết và phòng chống cái biến chứng về cái liên quan đến cái bệnh tiểu đường. Và những cái thành phần chính để tạo nên mỗi viên tấm đường QE này thì gồm có dây thìa canh, cà gai leo, tấm sen, chè hoa vàng, chè vàng, sầu đâu, dứa mắt na, hoa thiên phấn và một số cái thành phần thảo dược quý hiếm. Đó là những cái thành phần hoàn toàn là tự nhiên để tạo nên cái viên uống tấm đường QE này. Và những cái đối tượng mà nên sử dụng cái tấm đường QE là những người mà có cái chỉ số về đường huyết cao, những người bị bệnh liên quan đến bệnh đái tháo đường có nguy cơ, hoặc là những người đang có cái nguy cơ mắc phải cái căn bệnh đái tháo đường. Và cái cách dùng của viên uống tấm đường quy y này. Cách dùng thì mỗi lần chúng ta sử dụng 10 viên. Ngày chúng ta sẽ sử dụng 2 lần, sáng và tối. Và mọi người nhớ là chúng ta sẽ sử dụng sau ăn. Thì những ai mà đang bị những cái bệnh về đái tháo đường, hoặc là những người có cái đường huyết, cái chỉ số đường huyết cao, thì chúng ta nên sử dụng và tìm hiểu cái tấm đường quy y này để chúng ta dùng để có thể hỗ trợ điều trị cái bệnh tiểu đường hoặc là đái tiểu đường. Vì đối với dòng sản phẩm tấm đường quy y này thì những cái thành phần thì hoàn toàn là tự nhiên.